something a little bit less trash. Okay, it's the Dolphins coming in. I don't care what happened to the cash. Tomorrow in my brain, tight as real flash. Ooh, I could hit the brakes and meditate, but I misbehave and bang my head. Oh yeah, we have a license to rock. Wake up the whole block. Create a heavy shock. Because we are rock trash, the last for life. The crazy nights make us feel alive. We are rock trash, we don't blush, we don't hush until we crash. I wake up, don't know where I am. I hear a language I don't understand. Was after party in another land. I see a reindeer on my inland land. Oh God, I wanna go back to Tampere. Rock crash, come on. We are rock trash, the last for life. The crazy nights make us feel alive. We are rock trash, we don't blush, we don't hush until we rock trash.
It gets bad, but the hardest part was waking you up again. Don't you wanna know where the end of science begins? But there's these infinite possibilities, lost stars, black holes, all a symphony unexplored. But you're just so sure you got it figured out. So when we hit the limit with everything defined, we got ourselves in a bind.
something that guided me, never stopping me. In it to win it, I'll always be killing it. You follow blind like suicide. Have you lost your mind? I reclaim my life. Sleep with one eye open, I'm focused, you're joking, I'm golden. This is my time, chosen to get it, I hold it and exit. I'm awake, I'm alive, and then I don't play pretend. Mercy never ends. You think that you know me, you thought you could hold me. You just don't know when to stop. You think
take me there. Confetti, confetti, confetti floating everywhere. Show me how to find something to hold on tonight. Confetti, confetti, confetti cover us this time. Gonna fall to the line now. Run away right now.
You can never take our hearts away. You can never silence what we say. You can't hold us down another day. The revolution is getting closer. Stand up, take a side. Now you know the truth can't be denied. I promise you we won't give up the fight. We're rising up until it's over.
Today's matchup: C. Yambo-sung, Effort Kim Jong-woo, Bisu Kim Tae-kyung, Soulkey Kim Yoon-chun. StarCraft League Brood War ASL Season 3, Round 16.
All right, man, that intro was really sick. That was really cool.
Okay, like,
I know we make good intros here, but that was easily one of the best we've ever made, if not the best.
that was, yeah, no, I think, in my opinion, Taste is by far the best.
It reminded me of the old ones back in
That
the
was OSL prime time quality intro right there. Holy shit. I am so pumped
was
right now. That was such
so epic.
Oh my, I'm getting chills. I'm out of here. I got to go play some Brood War. Like, this is too much. Oh my God, that was good.
Today is our best group by far here in the ASL. It's really hard to say who's going to get out. I think a lot of people would say Bisu, and I think he certainly can. But all four of our players are legendary.
Well, with an intro like that, anybody can get out of this group. But
I love the part where we have Flash staring down. All the other players are so good. It's so good.
It's so good. It's too good.
Yeah.
But yeah, Bisu's pretty good, man. And like,
yes, he is.
They just released the standings on Africa. He's crushing it. He's got almost 80% wins. He's #1 ranked. He has huge winning records against Last, against Flash, against C in his group, Effort in his group, and Soulkey in his group. He's like 6-0 against Soulkey. What are you going to do against this guy? It looks like he's just completely regained his form.
Of course, we also have C down here. C has recently been one of the most dominant Terrans in all of Brood War. A lot of success. He definitely has his own style, his own approach. Somebody who's been around for a long time, but he's playing better than really ever before.
Yeah, this is the group of death without really any doubt. You could look at Group D and be like, wow, that's a really good group, but it's not nearly as good as this group. This group's so crazy. And
there's so much history with this group, Group D. Of course, Last in Group D, he's certainly somebody that everybody's got their eye on because he's the modern Terran. I believe, is he the youngest guy in our tournament right now?
I think he might be
Last.
It might have been. It might have been
Last.
You might be right about that. It was like maybe it was. Yeah, I think you're right.
So also in this group, Soulkey, a very good StarCraft 1 player, also very successful in StarCraft 2, and Effort, easily one of the best Zergs of all time in Brood War.
Yes.
Personally, when I watch him stream, it's the most impressive thing I've seen. Just mechanically, he is so perfect.
I can't really disagree with you on that.
He looks
this guy,
really good.
He's the only guy that ever approached Jade on.
That's not me trying to take away anything from the other guys if you watch them in first person. I also, not long ago, saw a VOD of C teaching people how to play Brood War Terran, and it's dubbed over in English. So if you wanted to learn a little bit more about how to play and how to think about the game, he actually has a great video up. I think you'd have to Google it, but it's out there. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
Bisu is the greatest Protoss of all time.
Yeah, and in my opinion, I have to take what you said about effort and put it on Bisu. He is, for me, watching him play first person is pretty much the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
I think one of the highest APM Protoss at this level. In fact, he might be just the highest
I believe
APM.
he is. I believe he is. Like, when I think about the other Dragons, definitely not over him. Which means that of the top level, yeah, you would be the quickest. Ooh, big cheers out in the audience here for C, the runner-up of last ASL season. A very respected pro for basically his entire career, but no championships at all. Closest he ever came was last season.
He's hoping that this tournament can perhaps be his championship. He won 1-3 against Flash in the last ASL finals. The game he did win, that was a nail-biter. But it was like the game went on for so long, you almost didn't have any fingers left. You were biting your nails for so long, Artosis.
Yeah.
This guy is a great player. Certainly a good aggro Terran. Definitely knows how to dismantle a top-tier player, especially in the mid-game. Sometimes expands a little bit later. That's not always, but at least in some of his most recent games, and especially in the previous ASL, he looked phenomenal. And I am excited. By the way, this is also probably one of the most charming pro gamers in the whole industry out of any game. Super charismatic. I guess this is what you get, though, when you have gamers that are a little bit older, that have kind of figured themselves out.
Yeah. You know, even good 8-9 years ago when I first came out here, he hung out with me a lot when I first came out. Like, pro gamers never had a lot of days off, but definitely one of the most friendly, coolest guys that I met.
So over here we have Effort. This guy is a terrifying Zerg. Mechanically, he is brilliant. Strategically, he is spot on. He is not afraid to do all-ins either. I believe it was 2 ASLs ago, we saw him actually do the 5-pool against Shuttle. And it was a game that he didn't win, but I gotta say, I mean, that's some serious balls to do a play like that, especially in a best of one.
Yeah, he is a great mechanical Zerg, but also ultra decisive and willing to do what it takes to win. This is why he's one of the greatest of all times. But ASL, he's had a rough go of things in. He hasn't been putting out the quality you would expect for the amount of time he's been back in Brood War and his level. Like, in practice, his level is always one of the best in the world, but ASL, he hasn't delivered. So will he be able to deliver tonight in this ridiculous group of death? It's I have a hard time predicting this group, other than I think Bisu will get out with his current form.
He should get out.
But, like, all 4 of these guys are monsters right now.
Well, C has actually beat up some Protosses really early, so Bisu's going to have to be very careful with what builds he picks, assuming that he's up against
very true, yeah.
And ZVP, definitely, both Effort and Soulkey, would probably like to avoid playing a macro game against him. Anyways, our first game, it's going to be C versus Effort, and Terran versus Zerg. Let's do this. This is game 1 in Group B of the ASL. Energy is electric in here, Artie.
It really is. This crowd is hype as hell, and they keep adding seats. More people keep coming in. Rightfully so.
In the upper left, in the red, our Terran player getting second place in the last ASL. It's C. And in the upper right, in the orange, our Zerg player, easily one of the best in the world, Effort.
So excited to see how this match goes. Definitely dictates a lot of the group going forward. Like, is C's TVZ in tip-top shape? It needs to be, because Bisu has been kind of crushing him on the ladder.
Let's not forget our 2 players that have advanced already into the round of 8. No shocker for the first one, Flash. The second one, big shocker, our observer, it's Shine, who is right now observing these games as we cast them. So no doubt he's going to be taking notes here on what Effort's doing.
Yeah.
Trying to get a good read on some good ZVT builds.
Man, that's funny.
It's true. It's true.
It is very true.
It must be pointed out. The guy who's controlling the camera is actually in the top 8 right now.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people did not expect Shine to even qualify for the ASL despite how good he was, but he still did it.
Yeah. You watch. Shine is going to start, like, being a little bit salty, man. Like, let's say he loses in that round of 8. He's going to zip around and find, like, drones that aren't mine and, like, triple highlight them instead of showing the battle. Just be like, hey, see? Everyone's bad. Like,
okay, for the openers, we have a Barracks here on the high ground. This is a little bit different from the way we saw Flash play. And in round of 16, we've only seen ZVZs and TVZs because Group A was a little bit weird and lopsided. But Flash did make his barracks on the low ground, but we could still easily see C go for some kind of expand build here.
Yeah, and I would say that a big part of the reason why we don't see the barracks on low ground for C is just because he's in the top left. If you try to make a wall in on that position, then your Marines actually pop out outside of the wall, so that becomes very, very dangerous.
Yeah.
And, you know, this is part of the funny thing with StarCraft 1 is you can't fix where units pop out, so there are positions where you just have an easier time of things where units pop out on the right side of your expansion, or like, for instance, your larva will go quicker. Like, look, larvae are most oftentimes and can be forced to the left side of the hatchery.
Right.
So if effort's on the left side of the map, his drones actually get to mine just slightly. It's a little thing, but it is a thing.
That's right, and I don't want people to think about that initially as some kind of imbalance or some kind of flaw in the game, because you end up basically playing around that constantly. So there's a lot of little details that you can take note of. By the way, the SCV does not get up into the main, so if it does not get into the main, it's going to be harder to figure out if the Zerg is going for 2 hatches or 3 hatches, which is pretty important.
It looks like he'll be able to get around and maybe scout that out. Some Lings left. Very well done there by
really
Effort.
nicely placed. One out here to try to chase the SCV, and that might actually bait the SCV to try to go in the main, where it'd be killed by the 2 Lings guarding the top of the ramp.
Well, Ling comes to the natural here, sees the command center. Just kind of what you would expect. There's not like, if you see the command center, that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about the Terran build order. They can't be doing anything too sneaky like that, like no one-base tech or anything. And Effort taking that mineral base. This is kind of the way that this map is going to be played in TVZ.
Okay, Lings are out here. He wants to see if he can't kill the SCV or maybe get a pounce on top of the Marines. It's going to be pretty tricky. Here we go.
Ooh, good pullback there by C, but actually the Zerglings getting on top of the Marines. A big deal right there, and all of them will go down. Can he pop this other Zergling? Oh, good thing he gets rid of that before it gets in that main base.
That was an interesting trade there. Keep in mind the Marine count got reduced overall. And that matters because Terran doesn't have a ton of Marines right away. And that makes it a little bit riskier to push out, especially, let's say, if Zerg gets Ling speed or something like that, which we know eventually will happen. Then he might end up getting surrounded. So this may later on force C to stay back home.
Yeah, it's a good move by Effort. He definitely should be feeling good about that, especially if you got a Ling all the way inside. You can get a little bit more intel, you know, like see the timing of the eBay and if he's making a second Rax or that Academy first.
And 6 Lings, if you math it out, 6 Lings, killing 4 Marines is much more cost efficient.
Oh, certainly, yes. Especially when you have 1 barracks. Like, you know, a lot of times you want to have this almost constant Marine production, push out to challenge Zerglings that are just on the map, maybe force creep colonies and stuff. But look, he's
actually still going to come out with. He's going to push out with the 3 Marines. Now, this is pretty risky, although it is somewhat obvious to the Terran that that's what the Zerg wanted, was to have you not as comfortable with these Marines coming out here. So he'll probably push out and then immediately snap and turn around. And he wants to, for instance, force the Sunga colony to start maybe force a few more Zerglings out. And it seems, at least for now, that Zerg is going to be going for more of a powering build here. We know that because he got his 3rd hatch before the layer had started. And he also has that mineral base, which is handy. That does come into play. If we go back to Group A, what we saw from Hyun. I almost wanted to say Haiva. I'm like, that's not right. what Hyun did in that game was like stay super late game tech, get dropped, try to take islands, and rush up to the Defiler mine without having a big emphasis on mutas or lurkers. I don't know if Everett's going to play like this, but these spots are similar, at least in that sense, to the previous game.
Yeah, he could go for a style like that, but Effort's got some of the best muta control that there's ever been. So if he were to actually make some mutas, I think that's not so bad, especially considering, well, C is one of these Terrans that can make TVZ very tough on you, but I think Effort has the requisite skill to actually utilize mutalisks against him. I do feel like right now Flash and Last are better mechanically than C.
I agree. I think actually C really took advantage of how strong his TVP was and his TVT in the last ASL. That's not to say his TVZ is bad, but I don't think in some ways he might have as easy of a time here against Effort. See the evolution chamber out there? That's also to try to force. I think was that actually too far out, by the way?
No, it's something that you always end up canceling. Like if you just put that there while your Sunkens are making, the Marines can't actually get in, and like you'll always end up canceling. It just like buys you a few extra seconds, and a strong move from Effort.
Oh, that's cool. I actually did not know about that.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen it all our toes. Just like I never saw my brother do that when I was growing up with him. That it
not
makes
many
perfect
Zergs,
sense.
Not
Yeah.
many Zergs pull it off, but it is something that you will see from time to time. Just throwing anything down. It's almost like Protoss is about to attack you. Float a building in there.
Yeah,
right?
or like you put a pylon
Yeah.
warping in. Sometimes you actually make 1 or 2 extra right before a fight starts, just
like,
to try to
if
soak
you,
something.
If you wanted to attack those Sunkens in that particular case, right, you have to use move command to get in there with all your Marines, or they attack with the. So you're actually overstepping with a bunch of Marines. They aren't attacking as quickly. They're kind of clumped up on one side into a ball, which means that you have to step closer to the Sunkens. It really screws with the AI of attacking.
That's super cool. By the way, this build is, I think, virtually identical to
It looks
to
like
Hyun's.
it, right?
It's literally okay. So this Muta here is to scout. Like Artos was saying before, Effort has some of the best Muta micro in the game, but in this case, he's actually just making one to come in here and get a read on what the upgrades are going to be like. It looks like it's going to get locked out, though. Oh, no, he doesn't care.
Yeah, he's just suiciding it right in. Okay, so there's actually...
he is going to take that island, though.
Yeah, this is kind of interesting by C. He's actually like reverting to an older style that existed when Andromeda was a map. Instead of going up to 4 or 5 racks like we've seen so much in the TVZ metagame, instead he's teching more quickly off of just 3 barracks. And back in the day, this is like much more close to what you would do, right? You'd want to get to that siege tank, you want to get to the starport very quickly, and in fact, he's going double starport right off the bat, so this is probably just going to be like a pretty standard SK Terran style.
Yeah, and he'll probably get the double drop ships right away. So right now, Effort using at least so far, an identical build to what Hyun did here. And I think this is a really cool adaptation to the way that Terrans want to play this map and how you can play around that. Even using the Lings with Burrow here to have the ability to monitor and potentially deny a Terran taking the center left.
Yeah, this is a super cool move, and to have another Muta flying around and scouting, this is a very valuable scout. He's going to be able to see not only that there wasn't a third up yet, but that it is double starport with add-on. And just seeing that and the fact that there's 3 racks, he knows that he's not going to die to just a straight bio push. He already has 5 Sunkens. So he can really focus on stopping anything like drops.
Yeah, and we see a bunch of Mutas hatching as he sees a double starport, because remember how Hyun lost the game against Flash, is he just did not quite manage to get the island up and running and secured at the same time. And he was actually trying to take islands over and over again. And we actually were saying that we think Hyun could have beaten Flash in that game had he played a little bit better. So I think what he wants to do now is try to predict where the dropship's going to come in, intercept it, massively reduce the amount of infantry that are available here. Because I 100% am sure that that's going to be 2 dropships coming out and not two science vessels right away. The science vessels will be coming later on here.
You would really suspect that he's going to get a couple, because if he doesn't, there's no real way to attack. Effort sitting here behind Sunkens and having this many Mutas, like you're not going to break that with pure bio this early into the game.
Do you think that there's a chance of Guardians here just because of these positions, or is that going to be later on?
It would probably be later on. Like, if his Mutas happen to not die, that can be a very good add a bit later. But if you're going SK Terran already, they lose a bit of value there as well, because Irradiate's very good against Guardians. So, yeah, that would definitely be something a bit later. What he needs is a Nidus up at the island and Defilers. And once he has both of those, the islands become almost unbreakable.
Yeah. We see 1 dropship out. We're assuming he's going to pair the dropships up and try to come in. Now, I want to point out, Effort might be risking his island here by having these Mutas out. The dropship can make a more direct path over to that location.
Certainly you're right about that. He has some Scourge out, and he has a Nidus up, a couple of colonies kind of ready. And this could be like a double drop move.
Effort's so ready.
Yeah, he is.
Okay, this is so ballsy. He's going to try to fly all the way through here. Takes down 1 dropship. That's a big loss for C. Yeah, especially with the first drop, you want to do a lot of damage with that. Because if you kill that dropship, I mean, you've just lost so much. Now here we go. The second drop is coming in here.
Okay, an interesting place to drop, kind of dodging anywhere Scourge would be. So let's see what type of damage C can get done. Stimming here, pushing those drones back. No real kills yet, and plenty of Lings and Mutas to clean this up. So far, C, who has rushed up into double dropship, hasn't gotten anything done.
Oh, nice. Now, I do want to point out, C should know about this top center expansion, right? I mean,
he knows.
He has to know, but interesting that he didn't opt to go in that location. The Mutas were in a position where they were harassing that mineral-only expansion. For the time being, it does appear as though C is going to stay with the SK Terran style. Mass Marines and Medics with Science Vessels combo there.
Yeah, and especially when you see that double eBay, you really know that he's committed to staying on this for the whole game, going up to 3-3. So But the problem here, though, is that C has already taken significant damage. He's lost two I'm like medevacs, shuttles. What do we call it? Oh, yeah,
Dropships.
Two dropships that have done absolutely nothing.
Submarines.
Efforts at a gigantic, two submarines.
Yeah.
Space submarines is what we really call them. Jules Verne invented it. Don't try to tell me that you know what it's called, guy in the chat. But yeah, like the amount that efforts ahead is substantial here.
Oh, okay. He has to split these mutas, making sure the irradiated ones can actually get away and not add more damage to the rest of that group. Now, Zerg's really playing the map here, not just the matchup. He's dropping all these lings over here because he knows he can flood into the main. Now, bear in mind, in this matchup, on this map, you're going to have a Terran with the last conceivable base that they can take easily is going to be the center left. Even that one's pretty tricky, where Zerg can continue to expand on the map. So you really want to keep Terran pressured and stuck back home for as long as possible. And this powering Zerg style of 4 bases with 3 gases really does allow him. Oh, I'm sorry. Is he expanding down here to the bottom? I think my
He's
screen,
doing that Nidus thing that we saw from him.
My screen over here at the bottom actually cuts that off. I didn't see that.
They switched. Who has a screwed up screen?
Yeah, my screen doesn't quite see the
that's
bottom
funny.
here. I would have missed that if I hadn't looked on your screen.
Yeah, I used to have the messed up one where you couldn't see bases.
Now I'm casted in hard mode. So Zerg's going to try very intentionally to occupy the bottom left rather than the bottom right because he wants to be able to counterattack in that location while abusing drops over here.
Yeah. This is becoming really hard for C. For C to win this game, it's going to have to go like incredibly long. With the Ultralisk Cavern coming up, the fact that he has Niduses all over the place, he already has 3 gases, gonna be 4 reasonably soon as he's Nidus the bottom left. And Defilers, like when you put all this together, SK Terran, while it can beat all that, it's mechanically, again, probably the hardest thing to do in the game is SK Terran against Zerg.
Not just the macro aspect, but the micro.
Yeah, moving your army.
Everything about it. This is a lot more bronze and not as much brains as some of the other stuff we see in Brood War.
Yeah.
You definitely have to have a lot of technique as you use it. By the way, there was a fire bat there to spot in the bottom left. There's one as well in the bottom right. And I don't believe that Zerg is really using lurkers here. So it's going to be hard for him to control that ramp as easily.
Yeah, I think we're just going to see lots of Darkstorm and a few Plagues here and there. And the one thing that Effort is eventually going to have to do is popping out Scourge and reducing Science Vessel count. That's like, that's the final almost killing blow, is keeping the Science Vessel count low, because you're actually counting on eventually getting, 10, 12 Science Vessels consistently killing every expensive Zerg unit.
As you can see, there's nothing these Marines can do against the Dark Swarm. Morling's coming in here to try to counter, going into the main to intercept some reinforcements. It looks like there are too many units streaming out at that location to do any damage. Also, Terran trying to get enough turrets up here to buffer out any major drops that could come into that location. But C is in a real dilemma right now. With Zerg expanding to the bottom left, it's going to give Zerg access to drop into the main and into this. We have to assume that Terran's going to expand to the center left eventually here. If he can take that on, he's going to be in good shape. And by the way, Effort with his Scourge placement, this is the best I've seen in the last few tournaments for StarCraft 1 we've ever had.
Yeah, this is looking really fantastic. Oh, God, look at these Scourge catching everything for C. Even this other one will die. 3 Marines only getting out. That's brutal.
Terran's trying to push up now. He does he does irradiate the one Defiler. And we're seeing Morling's counter in here. Now, it's tricky for Effort to try to actually get up over here and do the damage that he wants to do, because you can only have 12 units on a control group. And that's not a lot of Zerglings at the end of the day.
No, it really is not. And look at that, even plaguing this army. Wow. Oh, God. Effort is just killing everything.
Killing it, man. So this is what Hyun was trying to do to flash, but he couldn't get that setup booted up so that he could actually start to dish out all these units everywhere. And to be honest, I think C needs to do something very quickly. The Cracklings alone, I'm sorry, does he have the Adrenaline upgrade?
Yeah, he does.
Okay. He has so much damage being dealt over here, and the Terran army's really been thinned out so much from all these drops have been denied. Yeah, that's going to be it. GG.
Wow, that was like seriously how to play that map in a ZBT. So well done. And C was even very ready for this style of strategy, rushing to double starport, but that Mutalisk flying in, seeing that was in fact the tech.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like that just kind of allowed Effort to destroy C. And both of his medevacs got caught, or both of his dropships, got caught very, very quickly, doing nothing.
Yeah.
His space submarines were just destroyed by the flying banelings, and like it was, that was a tough one. Effort dominates.
You can see C very frustrated with that, as he knows this is such a difficult group. and it would have helped a lot to move on to the winners. I think Effort really showed us an almost perfect ZBT on that map.
Yeah, that was really strong.
It was not your traditional mass up mutas right away or get a bunch of lurkers. He played right around that, utilized the island, got a lot of Scourge, and with no lurkers there, he could afford a lot more Scourge. He could get Defilers out more easily and just make use of these really cheap, effective Zerglings to try to hold these positions while abusing drop, because it's hard for Terran to move around and just stop everything.
It was kind of nice, too, because all he had to do was stop mobility because he scouted just 3 barracks. If you don't have 5 barracks, you're not breaking that wall of sunken colonies. So that gave him a lot of flexibility with what to do with his money as well.
We are going to a short break. When we come back, Bisu versus Soulkey in game number 2 of Group B in the ASL.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
이게 도대체 뭐야? 대박! 소름!
사전 등록하면은 소미 캐릭터 준대요.
아버지와 더 가까워질 당신, 질레트가 응원합니다.
논해보려고 해요. 남들 지적하고 이런 거 못하거든요. 남들한테 관심이 없어요. 목욕탕 갈 때 입는 옷을 평소에도 이렇게 입고 다니시는 건가요? 가오가 정신을 지배한 듯. 비율과 얼굴이 중요하다고 생각합니다. 얼굴이 크면은 이렇게 되거든. 이거 탄피인가요? 탄피인가요 이거? 근데 자켓은 이쁘네요. 이게 남자분들 여리여리. 여러분 오늘 즐거웠습니다.
월드 오브 워십. 야, 쟤 잠수함이냐? 퀴속선. 거와이네. 그렇게 못 맞추네. 씨. 고티어 베타멜 민폐입니다. 누구시죠? 저 죄송한데 혹시 운영자님이십니까? 나의 꿈과 희망을 실어서 간다. 올해 김연봉. 고쳐 블라. 야, 뭐야, 블랙홀이야? 은신.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄? 전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄! 지금 사전 예약하세요.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
Welcome back to the ASL. It is time to go into game number 2. Effort showed us how you can play on a map like Andromeda. Basically skip like a mass muted tech, skip a lurker tech initially, get up to Hive, and rely on Scourge, Nidus, and Lings, with Mutas obviously incorporated later on, to hold off anything on a map that big. And then to top it off, he gets a hatchery hidden in the corner of another main, because the Andromeda's got it's a funny-looking main. You have a very big area.
Can't scout everything.
And you basically push in by moving underground to the Nidus to then claim that area. Terran gets too spread apart. You keep dropping Lings in there while countering in other places and using Defilers. And C got crushed, to be honest.
He really did get crushed, and he was even trying to play a very specific build order for the map.
Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing more TVZs there in the future here in this season, and just seeing how Terrans respond to this style.
It's also cool because Hyun was trying to do the exact same style, but Flash shut down the island early on to deny the third gas. It goes back into the same theme we've seen in a lot of other ZVTs. It's so important you get that third base up with a gas.
Yes. That's really the crux of it. On 2 gases, you can't do anything against Terran. They can just out-pressure you, out-macro you, and that's it. Once you get the third, it's anyone's game.
That's right. Nicely done there. Now we are going to a PvZ with Bisu versus Soulkey.
This is going to be awesome. The revolutionist of Protoss, Bisu himself, playing the matchup that he became so popular for. The crowd going crazy the second he goes onto the camera. And, I mean, he's a monster. He's a monster of this matchup. But Soulkey is a very strong ZVP player.
I cannot wait to see how he's going to place his buildings at his expansion Artosis so I can copy it, and I'll finally have the proper modern answer for Wallens here.
You're going to think that the Wallen he makes is good, and then like you're going to do it perfectly, and Lings are going to get through. And you're like, Soulkey could have killed it with Lings, and he didn't know.
He just assumed everything would be tight there. So, Bisu, if you followed any Brood War, he doesn't need much introduction, but if you just followed StarCraft 2 and aren't too familiar with who this guy is, this is the greatest Protoss player of all time. But he's going up against Soulkey, who recently returned from StarCraft 2. Soulkey is a really solid Zerg, and it should be difficult for Soulkey to win this, but it's certainly not impossible.
Yeah, like, I've seen some really magnificent ZVPs out of Soulkey, but Bisu is a different level from anyone that you would see Soulkey go up against and beat. Soulkey has been like having a very high level overall in StarCraft 1 lately, but even recently, like this past month, Team Liquid just put up the Africa rankings, and in April, Bisu destroyed it, almost 80% wins on the Fish server, and I believe it was 6-0 against Soulkey, if I recall correctly.
So
that's
crazy.
like, man.
The thing that makes Bisu so scary in this matchup especially is, first of all the openers PvZ for Protoss are really hard, and they have to be really, really, really fine-tuned. And he's one of the few people that can do all of them.
Yes.
From start to finish, he gets there just fine. Despite all the pitfalls that Zerg can do or can create that can hiccup the Protoss or catch them off guard, Bisu pretty much has that perfectly mapped out.
Yeah, and on top of that, I would say without any doubt the greatest multitasking Protoss of all time. Like, he will be able to make sure his Corsairs never really die while harassing Overlords, sending a DT around the map, dropping somewhere, blocking your Ling run by, and storming Hydras. Like, he'll do it all at once without any issues.
And you got to ask yourself, what kind of opener does Soulkey use? Does Soulkey go for some kind of quick rush to end the game? Does he want to play a macro game? We're going to find out as we go into game number 2, Bisu versus Soulkey. In the bottom left, in the purple, Bisu. And in the upper right, in the green, Soulkey.
I gotta say, Taste, this is more of a teal.
Fair enough.
A little bit more of a teal. Yeah, I'm gonna go with teal. Dark green was introduced on Brood War tile sets.
That's
of
right.
which this is not one.
This is true.
Yeah.
This
so
is a vanilla StarCraft
check yourself
set.
before you wreck yourself, Tasis. You're not even colorblind. Don't even pretend.
Sting like a Bisu. So it's pretty normal to almost always see a pylon on the low ground here. In a Protoss versus Zerg, there are basically two options that the Protoss has from here. It's either Forge first or Gateway first, unless they get some kind of really good scout off right away and see that they can just go Nexus first, but that also limits your ability to occasionally pressure. So we'll have to see what exactly he's going to choose to do here. But if you go for the Forge first, you can still be aggressive. You can still cannon rush. It depends on the map. And we're not seeing anything sent out here just yet, so he may just go for a riskier Nexus, Certosis.
Yeah,
maybe a Nexus on 11.
I don't think he's expecting a rush out of Soulkey. Nothing too crazy, at least. Throws his Forge down.
Okay, so he's going for the optional cannon rush.
Yeah.
If you send a scout with a second probe, you get out here. You want to see if they're going to go for hatch first, and it seems like a lot of Zergs do not do hatch first as much anymore, just because it can give the Protoss too much control in the game. In this case, we see that Soulkey went for a quicker spawning pool.
And sees this drone coming down, so he actually has some pretty good intel at the moment, just kind of microing around the drone, trying to force it to not take the gas base. And it doesn't. It takes that mineral base. So everything looking fine right now. You know, this is one of the interesting things about Andromeda, is that it is a more mineral-heavy map than others, because you'll always get your gas base, but then you have the completely free mineral base, and basically everyone will end up taking it. So how will you play differently because of that? You know, like, for instance, we see Zerg players focused very heavily on Lings against Terran. In this matchup, of course, Speed Zealots are going to be more numerous than in many other games if you make that third Nexus. And, of course, there are these little tricks you can do. I've seen in the past, like way long ago. You know, like, for instance, when Blue Storm was a map, a game that I remember so clearly because I was so impressed, it was a Cloud versus Mondragon where Cloud opened up with a Forge, you know, with a cannon expansion against Mondragon, and then went directly into armor. Of course, you couldn't see that.
Yeah.
But it was because he knew that Mondragon, because there's like basically a free mineral base on Blue Storm as well. He knew Mondragon would be going quick carapace for his Zerglings. So by getting the quick armor for the Zealots, he made the quick carapace completely worthless.
Yeah, that's like a really good cheese strat where you can actually rush with Zealots and they just assume that you're getting +1, and then your Zealots end up winning the fight anyways because you played around their upgrade.
Yeah,
and
it's super cool.
And unfortunately, it does not pan out well if you don't kill them right away.
Yeah. But this map made me think of that game as well. That was just one of my favorite mind games I've seen in a PvZ early game.
Yeah, I remember the first person I saw do that was White Raw, and I'm like, oh.
Yeah, he's the type of guy.
It was that Jurassic Park moment where I was like, clever girl. His armor upgraded raptors killed me. So, Zerg is going to be continuing to expand. They are in cross spots, which leads itself to be a bit more ambiguous as to how Zerg wants to necessarily expand as the game goes on longer and longer. But yeah, he's got his one cannon up here. The placement of the cannon is also very important, not just how many he has. This is a little bit weaker to Hydra openers, so he's trying to watch for that, but it's quite strong against Ling openers because it covers the Nexus and the mineral line pretty well as well.
Well, that probe's still being alive, trying to get as much intel as possible. Second gas going up and the Stargate. You know, that's just kind of Bisu for you. It's pretty rare that he doesn't go for a Stargate opener. Kind of the master of the Corsair in many ways.
Now, we do want to check to see if he's going to get that air weapons upgrade. He'll probably get a +1 weapons attack first for his ground units. But yeah, from here what you do is you tend to pump out Corsairs at times continuously, depending on how heavy you want to tech with the rest of your gas. And you want to have Zealots with legs, and then you go right from there into Templars with Storm.
Yeah.
And in this case, you don't have to push to get an expansion. So you can kind of play the defensive game. The Protoss gets the mineral base for free back here, while the Zerg is going to eventually have to push out and acquire a fourth.
You know, a cool thing about this map as well is Corsairs dominate the sky so well against Zerg, if you do have that advantage and you don't lose any early on, that if it gets a little bit later and there's islands, that can be very hard for Zerg to break, right? Like, cannons hit ground, so if you drop there, it's defense against that. They hit air, so attacking with that's hard. And then the Corsairs, like, you have a decent amount of them, and he is getting the +1 air weapons. You are just wrecking Overlords that are trying to draw up, Mutas that are trying to fly in, anything, really.
And he may go for quicker DTs here. He got the Templar Archives before the Forge had been activated to get +1 attack. So yeah, he might be trying to get that out as quickly as possible to try to get some control on the map here. Since it's a little bit trickier for the Zerg to take the island, it can be done, but it's a little bit tougher in this matchup, especially with this tech that Protoss is picking here. Now, he's coming in right now because he needs to figure out if there's a Spire, and by the way, there is, and there's going to be a lot of mutas hatching here.
Okay, so could be some Scourge trying to catch these Corsairs as well. We'll see how he goes down that route. I do like the quick Templar Archives, by the way, because I think Bisu probably looks at this and like, well, you know, Hydra Bust can be pretty scary, so an early DT followed up by a reasonably quick Psy Storm should keep Bisu in the game long enough that his overwhelming skill in the matchup will really kick in.
That's right. The Corsairs now headed back here. You want to have a sparse amount of cannons, enough to kind of cover everything so that the Corsairs can attack the mutas or Scourge and then run back. And the DT is going to be in charge of trying to make sure that there's some control in this game. Now, it's harder than it looks to have that DT deny everything because the Zerg can always expand to the upper left or the bottom right instead of taking the most predictable base, which would be the center right. And also, Zergs kind of know when they see Corsairs that DTs are always going to be a threat.
Yeah. You know, as we've talked about so much on Outsider, Corsair Reaver is really not a popular build.
Yeah, people have expanded and tried Corsair Reaver. It's almost more of a gimmick unless you're going to switch into ground again, but even then it's pretty hard to pull off. Now, the 1DT was denied, so this is actually not very good for Bisu. And this is going to be possibly a bust play here, as he's going to try to come in here and do as much damage as he can. Looks like one Scourge connects, but it's not enough to take out any of these Corsairs. And sometimes when they, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to run over your justice. Sometimes when they get I think, is this 5 hatches or 6?
It's 5.
5 hatches, sometimes you can bust down a really good player coming over here to the entrance, especially if you force cannons everywhere else that's not the front, and you can dodge the storms.
Yeah, well, it was going to come down so heavily to those storm dodges because Bisu is taking a rather fast third, but has gotten such a quick Templar Archives that he is counting on these storms on keeping him alive. So let's see if it's going to work out.
He takes out that first Templar over here. Now, the other two are parked up above. Actually, pretty nice placement here against that Psy Storm.
Yeah, still running in here with these Hydras, going to town on the Photon Cannon that he already softened with the mutas. Oh, God, everything falling apart right now for Bisu.
He's most likely getting a Dark Templar here. That's why these Corsairs are going ham, trying to take out as many Overlords as possible. He needs to have these Zealots and Probes block this off as he tries to sandbag this rush with cannons.
Can he actually stay alive during this part? The cannons still warping in. Probes all being pulled up to the front. Quite a few falling down. More cannons on the way being picked off before they can even shoot most of them.
Now he needs to have these probes blocked so that the Hydras can't quite get on top of the cannons. So placement is really key here, but this bust may be enough to work. We don't see the DT out, assuming there's one coming over here just yet. He's pulling probes from his main.
This many more probes coming out is not necessarily good news. A couple more cannons back here are pushing back the Hydras a little bit, but Overlords with speed come down before the DT makes it in. And Tasos, I think the damage has been dealt here by Soulkey.
Well, he can certainly get the Forge over here, which is not covered by cannons, which means the cannons can be locked out of the game. The Hydra's now targeting down brilliantly. I think Soulkey might have just won this game.
Yeah, it just there's not enough right now for Bisu. We rush up that Psy Storm, but not quite enough hits there on the Hydralisk to stop them. Bisu may be a little bit too greedy with this quick third base.
Yeah, he may have wanted to play a more conservative game. Or possibly place his cannons a little bit better back here. He also did lose that first Templar to a very good snipe. And that's going to be it. GG. Bisu loses, and Soulkey in an upset wins game number 2.
Wow. ZVZ going to be the winning match of the night here. See, the finalists of last season and Bisu, the #1 player on the Fish server, both losing in their first matches.
The ASL is,
Holy crap.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. You know what? Soulkey did it. Protoss have to be ready for everything. 1 or 2 cannons extra there at the front. 1 or 2 better storms. Perhaps a DT coming out a little bit quicker, and he holds that. And then Zerg is in that conundrum where they don't have a 4th base and definitely burnt a lot of their resources trying to bust you down.
I like the decisive play of Soulkey, even sacrificing the mutas, putting extra damage on that 1 cannon, knowing that that was kind of the linchpin of holding those back a little bit.
Yeah.
But great play. Great play from Soulkey. Can he take down Effort, though? A master of CBZ.
Very nicely done here for Soulkey. I think it's anybody's game with Soulkey versus Effort. They're both pretty smart.
Yeah.
But we're going to have one of these 2 Zergs advance to the round of 8. While C and Bisu, one of those 2 is about to be eliminated. We're going to go to a short break. When we come back, our winners match, a Zerg vs. Zerg.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 이런 나쁜 말 들어본 적 있어?
모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보.
다방면으로 보자. 다방.
이게 도대체 뭐야? 대박! 소름! 사전 등록하면은 소미 캐릭터 준대요.
아버지와 더 가까워질 당신, 질레트가 응원합니다.
영상 왔다. 잘못 냈다가는 어떤 취급받으냐면 김종국 취급받습니다. 황간창법. 생각의 전환이 조금 필요합니다. 고음부터 빡 주세요. 뭐야? 진짜 본인 목소리예요? 아니 톤이 너무 신기해가지고 나는. 뭐야? 노렸어요?
월드 오브 탱크 블리처 맞춰주면 터지죠. 나이스. 야, 내가 제일 잘하는 것 같은데 일반 여자들 중에 맞지? 소련이 좋다고? 이거 멋있더라. 사막. 오, 자 운전 잘해줘야죠. 뒷부다 나와. 죄송합니다. 트리 터집니다. 똥탱크 새끼들 앞만 보고 있지. 강원의 장사. 탱크가 너무 약해. 튕겼습니다. 이 튕겨 나오네. 왜 이렇게 센데 이 탱크. 월드 오브 탱크 블리츠 많이 사랑해 주시고요.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄?
전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄 지금 사전 예약하세요.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
Welcome back to the ASL. Really shocking game back there. Soulkey busted down Bisu and is knocked into the losers match, which means we go right into a Zerg versus Zerg to see who's going to move on.
Indeed we do, and that's, great plays from both of these Zerg players, taking out their opponents on Andromeda. Bisu even getting that very quick side storm, but speed of that third base, a little bit greedy, Tasteless. If he holds on there, I'm sure he's in fantastic shape with unlimited speed Zealots and High Templars, but
it's hard on Andromeda to not want to take that mineral only right away. It's not every day Protoss can get a third base and be just fine. Even if you take that though right away, they can get behind the minerals with Hydras and hit it and dodge storms. There's a lot of problems that can occur.
That's a good point. Well, now it's a ZVZ effort against Soulkey. Effort's been doing pretty well, ranked number 8 on the Fish server at the moment. So let's see if he has what it takes here to take down Soulkey. One of the best ZVZers of all time, for sure.
Let's do this, guys. One of these two players moves on to the round of 8. This is Effort versus Soulkey. In the upper left, in the orange, Effort. And in the bottom right, in the white, Soulkey.
ZVZ, Camelot. We've seen a fair amount of ZVZs here. Very wide open, so Zergling's going to be pretty darn strong.
Yeah, this isn't like Fighting Spirit or some of these other maps where you have a very tiny ramp you can try to cover, to tech off of. So a lot of lings, like if your opponent gets it, you have to respect it, or do a really good job playing around that. So let's go ahead and see when they get their spawning pools and hatches and gases. You know, if you guys...
The buildings that they will make.
Yes, but the question Artosis is how soon?
Yes. That
Hatchery
is always
first
the question.
versus a 9 pool or something like that. It's a pretty big deal. So we know that there's a lot of people that might not be familiar with Brood Wars. So just to get the basics of ZVZ, it's a matchup that really boils down to 3 units, the Zergling, the Mutalisk, and the Scourge. Because these units are also cheap and fast and cost efficient, it's hard to tech to anything else.
Yes.
Other than that, we occasionally do see it, but generally speaking, it's a balance of trying to keep enough lings to tech to mutas or having enough lings to overrun them before they tech to mutas.
Yeah.
If you both get to Mutalisks, then we'll talk about that, you know, with how Scourge play a role. But it's very important to appreciate how fast they're trying to tech on low drones, by the way. You don't need a ton of drones in Brood Wars Zerg, especially not in this matchup. So sometimes you'll see people as low as like 7 drones mining minerals off of one base as they rush up and tech.
Yeah, and you know, as they rush up in tech as well, because like if you have one more Mutalisk, you basically will win. You know, the Mutalisk fight, it's kind of crazy like how one-sided fights can become with like 1 more muta or 2 more mutas, or just like the +1 armor versus no +1 armor.
That's right.
So, you know, because of that, if like let's say that you just kind of can tell that your opponent's going to have more mutas, you do Zergling. So it's not, we don't see just muta versus muta, like straight up equal muta counts very often at all in ZVZ recently.
That's right. Both players getting a hatch as their spawning pools are finishing. We don't have any lings out just yet.
Yeah, I think Effort's making 6 lings right now.
I think you might be right.
I believe that's the case. We'll see how many he ends up making. We did see some cool plays with hiding some Zerglings, trying to, you know, disguise the number that you have, because if you just have more on such a flat open map, there's not like high ground or easy concaves to make to be able to win those battles or hold those battles for a very long time while your mutas are being made.
The Overlords need to peek in here and confirm that the layer has started. Everything's pretty much going the way it should be. It's 4 lings headed southbound now. It's going to be matched to the 4 lings that Soulkey has. 2 more just hatched to make that total 4. There it is now.
Still going to be a little bit of running around here. Layer on the way.
Now, is he going to try to go around?
In fact, the way he went in, there was no Overlord that saw him, and the hatchery vision is very small.
He's actually outside of vision.
He completely snuck this.
And now he's going to try to go. Link's going to finish in a moment.
What a clever move. He left one at home to stop that drone. The drone does get pulled immediately, so Soulkey's on top of this, and that's very important because this was a good move by Effort.
Yeah, Effort, a very tactical player in Zerg versus Zerg. And you can see for the time being, it's going to be Soulkey trying to zone these lings in and pick them up before they can get back, because every Zergling is actually quite important in a Zerg versus Zerg.
It really is. Like, Larva is the limiting factor so many times here in this matchup. Now look at that. That's a beautiful wall with that spawning pool, and then he blocked the bottom of the minerals, so had to go around the other way. Didn't really work out all that well. A couple lings still in there, though.
This may end up becoming a big ling versus ling fight.
Yeah.
The Spire's on the way. The lings right now for Soulkey are doing a very good job zoning back the lings here for Effort. Effort's going to try to loop back in. He can confirm when the Spire, how that's coming along.
Yeah, so many lings on both sides right now, and Effort sending down a huge force of them right now towards the natural here of Soulkey.
Is he going to be able to overwhelm him?
Did Soulkey make too many drones is my question here.
If you look at it, Effort's barely mining from his natural.
Yeah. He's got 1 or 2 drones there. Yeah, he has 1 drone at his natural.
Keep in mind you have to save some larvae to morph into Mutalisks. And occasionally that's when the Lings want to strike, is as the mutas start to make, because you can overwhelm them so quickly and run them over. I think Soulkey's doing a good job, though, of just keeping his Ling count pretty heavy. He's actually rallying more Zerglings down here. He's watching that Spire with his one Ling to know when this is going to finish up, as well as trying to just keep some of those Lings chasing that one Ling over there.
Yeah, this is a little bit scary. You might make something here, or just leaving drones in front of your Lings can be very useful. It messes up the AI of your opponent. Doesn't get as much surface area. Here we go. He moves in, and Soulkey has a lot of his own Lings here, but that is a huge count from Effort.
He's coming in. We have 3 drones trying to help out in this fight. It looks like that will just barely be enough.
Oh, I cannot even believe that. 2 Lings versus 1 at the end of the day, thanks to the 3 drones.
Remember, guys, when you attack into something, they will always prioritize the other attacking units over the workers, even if the workers are attacking. So there's a lot of cool tricks you can pull off against somebody if you just have a few extra workers over there.
Yeah, there's no question Effort had more Lings in that battle, but Soulkey with a beautiful defense there. And he does seem to have a few more drones than Effort. So this all has paid off very well for Soulkey at the moment. Now, some Scourge being sent out. I think he realizes that Soulkey's going to be making mutas, so if he can at least make the mutas run while he attacks with his Lings, those extra mutas that were made are not Lings. So that means that they aren't putting extra damage out.
He's got 3 in this group right now. Does he have enough Scourge here?
Oh, man, poor Scourge.
The mutas are actually being controlled really, really well, and I'm actually starting to think that there's a chance that Soulkey's going to win this game, Artosis.
Yeah, there really is. He's doing a great job of blocking everything. Okay, at least 1 Scourge connected there. Brings that muta down very, very low, but still, he has a better muta count.
It's important to note that right now Effort is mining from his gas. They both have to be mining from both gases here, the main and the natural, if they want to be competitive with making an air army.
Ooh, picking off these Scourge is huge, by the way. The Scourge costs 75% as much gas as the Mutalisk does. So, and 2 of them can kill muta, but it's better to kind of spread them out so the mutas have like 10 health left over. But if you are picking those off regularly, that is less mutas for your opponent.
That's right. Lings have now rallied up. It looks like Soulkey is debating possibly doing a counterattack here. It's very tricky because if you have more Lings, and if you have mutas as well in that fight, both players have to control the mutas, so sometimes the Lings can flood and do too much damage.
Ooh, those were some good Scourge connections going down right there. Scourge on Scourge action coming out of Effort, pushing back these Mutalisks of Soulkey, but Soulkey getting Lings into the main base here of Effort.
Okay, he may end up trying to go for the Spire instead of chasing this. Meanwhile, he's hitting these drones that have been pulled back over here.
Oh, man, Soulkey doing a lot of damage to this drone line right now. The mutas of Effort trying to clean up all these Zerglings.
And while those mutas are chasing those Lings, he's taking out Overlords. He's sending more Scourge in here to try to zone back the mutas of Effort. And this is where he might be trying to go for a kill move.
Oh, the Scourge. It looks like he gets a connection here with the Scourge, so that's pretty efficient, but a lot of Scourge coming in from Soulkey. That's a ton of micro that Effort has to put out, but they're starting to connect a little bit here, and it looks like Soulkey should have enough to finish this off, doesn't he?
I don't think so.
Never
the
mind.
Scourge splitting was really, really good. There's only 2 mutas in that group right now. So what happens when you have Scourge versus their mutas? I'm sorry, there were 3. They were stacked so well together.
Yeah, and with more coming up, that is going to be that, Tasteless.
That's it, GG. Okay, that was a wild result there.
Yeah, very hard to count mutas in those stacks. Oh my god. But that was like really impressive play out of Soulkey. The hold with the drones was certainly, in my opinion, the most important aspect of this game. To hold with, because he overmade drones a little bit more than Effort, right? So that's the thing where we were talking about before. If you get behind a little bit and you know your opponent's going to have more mutas, you start to go more heavy on Lings to try to do some damage and catch up in that regard. Soulkey held beautifully. Then Scourge came down. Soulkey microed beautifully. Suddenly he's ahead in all ways.
Really, brilliantly done here by Soulkey. I gotta be honest with you, Artosis, this is the last person I thought who would get out first. I knew he had a chance of getting out maybe second place.
Yeah.
But I thought for sure it would be Bisu or C, and apparently not, because that's going to be in our losers match, which is up next.
It's backwards day right now at the ASL. Time to have an interview now with Soulkey.
축하드립니다.
감사합니다.
네, 오늘도 정말 죽음의 조였잖아요.
Congratulations.
당당하게
Thank
1위로
you.
8강에 진출을 성공했어요. 소감 좀 들어볼까요?
You made it out of the group in first place. What do you think about that?
제일
Said, well,
약해 보이고
a lot of people did not expect me to get in first place, and a lot of people probably thought I was the weakest one, Tasteless.
That's what Tasteless thought, yeah.
네. 와!
When I came to the studio,
많은 분들이
I thought
기대하셨다고
I'd actually
하네요.
get out
네.
in second place today.
네, 본인이 생각하시는 것보다 팬이 굉장히 많은 것 같은데요.
The audience responded, wow.
김민재
Guess you
선수
have more fans than you
오늘
expected.
그 경기가 좀 마음에
He says, yeah, I
드셨나요?
guess so.
경기력이 본인 생각에
그냥 생각했던
Expecting
대로
your,
풀려졌어요.
did you expect your performance today?
게임이 다
So well, the games went as I thought they would.
준비한 대로 생각대로 다 풀렸다.
Just
네.
exactly as I thought
첫
they would.
번째 경기가 그렇게 잘 풀렸기 때문이 아닌가 싶은데 상대가 추가적으로 그 자원을 넥서스 쪽으로 쓰는 그런 시기를 노렸던 그런 공격이었습니까?
네, 일단 그런 게 트리플 이제 많이 하니까 그런 걸 노린 것도 있는데요. 이 빌드가
Well, you attacked in when Bisu was using all his minerals to buy another Nexus.
추천해준 빌드거든요. 그래서
So, well, actually, the build
선물
I
하나
used
주고
against
가는
Bisu.
느낌이네요.
예, 반대로도 이제 선물 드려야죠. 덕분에 이겼는데.
글쎄요.
예.
Another pro gamer
그러다
recommended
이런
it to me.
겁니다. 예, 그리고 그 멋지게 그 김태경 선수를 잡아내고
Just giving
마지막
credit to him.
경기에서는
Sorry, didn't catch the name of
거대
that pro.
저구전을 맞이하게 됐었는데 김정호 선수에 대한 그런 부담감은 없었습니까?
So you had a winner's match that was ZBZ against Effort.
편할 거라는 생각을 해가지고
Didn't you feel pressure there?
빌드도 일단 어느
You know you
정도
were against Effort.
제가 유리하게 끌고 간 거였고요.
I said, well, I'm actually pretty comfortable in
저도 좀
ZBZ.
자신 있어가지고 요새
근데 그 드론을 초기에 오버를 뽑고 나서 추가 드론을 뽑고
I have a lot of
이
confidence in
퀘스토인데서 막
Zergers
둘이
as
막
well.
이렇게 막 비벼서 막 말 안 듣고 그러면 정말 화 많이 나잖아요.
아 근데 어차피 근데 상관없었어요. 늦게 지으면 늦게 지을수록 어차피 좋은 빌드여가지고 뭐 별로 크게 신경 안 썼어요.
막 저글링들이 막 들어와서
Well,
막
your
난리 치고
ZBZ is
게다가 그
kind of
아래쪽에
more
숨어있던 그 저글링 때문에 막
micro-oriented. Zerglings
손이
were all
나지
over.
않았습니까?
좀 당황스럽긴 했는데 그래도 뭐 드론 하나도 안 잡히고
What was going through your mind when that was happening?
상황이어서 오히려 제가 유리한 상황이 돼버려가지고
그러면서 그때 이제 공격을 씻쳐
Yeah, I was
나가면서
pretty
이거 내가
surprised
잡았다
with the
뭐 이런
Zerglings in my
생각
face.
하셨습니까?
But he didn't get any damage on my drones, and I thought that my situation was fine.
이겼다라고 생각을 했어요.
네, 김민철 선수 이렇게 대단한 선수이네요. 다음 그 라운드에서도
When I saw his scourge in my base,
감사합니다.
I thought to myself, I'm going to win this match.
여러분께 8강에 대한 각오랑 인사 한 말씀 해야죠.
네, 스타 1으로는 현역 때나 뭐 아프리카나 지금
There's a lot of fans to support you. Any
처음인데요.
words to them?
처음 올라간 만큼 8강에서 최선을 다해서 좋은 경기를 보여드리겠습니다.
네,
감사합니다.
축하드립니다. 김민철 선수. 네, 오늘
As a
첫
Brood War
번째
pro gamer,
승자인 김민철
this is my
선수
first
만나봤습니다.
StarLeague
계속해서
round of
연보성
8,
선수와
and I will pull
김태경
out my
선수의
best
패자전
performance
대결이
in the next
이어지겠습니다.
round. That's
정말
sick,
더
actually.
이상 물러설 곳이 없는 패자전 대결. 잠시 휴식 후
All right, guys,
돌아오겠습니다.
we are going to go to a short break. When we come back, the losers match, Bisu versus C.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 나쁘다는 말 들어본 적 있어? 모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보. 다방면으로 보자. 다방.
이게 도대체 뭐야?
대박.
소름.
사전 등록하면은 소미 캐릭터 준대요.
아버지와 더 가까워질 당신, 질레트가 응원합니다.
논해 보려고 해요. 남들 지적하고 이런 거 못하거든요. 남들한테 관심이 없어요. 목욕탕 갈 때 입는 옷을 평소에도 이렇게 입고 다니시는 건가요? 가오가 정신을 지배한 듯. 비율과 얼굴이 중요하다고 생각합니다. 얼굴이 크면은 이렇게 되거든. 이거 탄피인가요? 탄피인가요 이거? 근데 자켓은 이쁘네요. 이게 남자분들 여리여리. 여러분 오늘 즐거웠습니다.
월드 오브 워십. 야, 쟤 잠수함이냐? 쾌속선. 가와이네. 이게 못 맞추네, 씨. 고티어 베타는 민폐입니다. 누구시죠? 저희 죄송한데 혹시 운영자님이십니까? 나의 꿈과 희망을 실어서 간다! 올해 김현봉. 고쳐 블라. 야 뭐야 블랙홀이야? 은신.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄?
전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄. 지금 사전 예약하세요.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
We are back at the ASL, and a very shocking losers match is coming up. It's actually going to be Bisu versus C. All due respect to Soulkey, I just did not guess he'd be the first one to escape Group B.
No one did. In fact, he thought he'd get second, so there you go.
Yeah.
Not even Soulkey believed he'd get first place.
So we're about to either eliminate Bisu or C.
It's kind of crazy. These guys did fight previously in the last season, and C was victorious. So, if I recall correctly, I'm pretty sure that's the case. And
the thing about C is that he's had very strong mid-game TDP. He's really okay staying on two bases a lot, getting a drop ship before taking his third sometimes, doing a lot of these aggro pushes. I would say Bisu has some of the most fine-tuned PvT builds you will ever see. So how does he want to approach it exactly? I think if he can get long enough in a game, Bisu's late game is better than C's.
Yeah.
But C seems to not let Protosses do that.
Well, look, I always want to go back to just how they're performing currently, like in the fact that he's killing the fish server, but he lost to Soulkey, who he's up 6-0 against. You're playing a best of one, anything can occur, but he's been killing all the best Terrans in the world on the ladder. So his PvT is clearly in tip-top shape. Camelot is the map, though, right? So kind of...
this might be good for Terran in mid-game.
Yeah, it's a small enough map that, like, if you live as Terran, if it takes, like, 3 sieges to get to your opponent's bases, then, I mean, that's a good map for Terran. It's just, like, the smaller the map is, generally speaking, the stronger Terran is on it.
I do wonder if Bisu may do a proxy build.
It definitely could be.
You can do a lot of different proxy builds, a lot like in StarCraft 2 where you can put stuff outside the Terran's base and try to mess with them. Only I'd say in Brood War it's a lot scarier. A lot scarier for the Terran.
Yeah, it can snowball pretty quickly for sure. You know, you get a Zod in there and kill like the first Marine. Oh boy,
it's bad.
That first Marine dies and the Terran's just like, oh, well, you're a very good Protoss player to kill that first Marine and then win.
Yeah, Camelot is a map where anything can happen. There's a lot of abusive things that both these races can do to each other in different parts of the game. But yeah, I think you are correct, Artosis, then that if they both played a really standard game, I think C has a lot more push potential.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's see who gets eliminated first and who survives and goes on to our final match in tonight's ASL Group B. In the upper left, Bisu. And in the bottom right, C.
You notice you're avoiding colors.
I mix it up. Sometimes I say the races, sometimes I say the colors.
Yeah.
Sometimes I say the races and the colors. So yeah, I was wondering if we're going to have a probe sent out early, not prematurely, but really early to try to make something outside his opponent's base. And this looks like an early probe to me, Artosis.
Yeah, that's pretty early, I would say, for sure. Yeah, it's like the 6th probe is going out on the map. So,
and if you send out the 6th probe, a lot of times that means that you want to make a gateway.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I guess you don't it would be a gateway.
It depends on the size of the map, but I would say on this map it has to be a gateway.
Because like you can send out an early probe
for a gas steal. No, I think it might actually be a gas steal. I think I'm wrong.
You don't go. No, I think it's a gate in the main, maybe.
No, it's a gas steal.
That's too early for a gas steal, though. Like, I guess you can force him to take his gas before he builds a barracks or something, but like...
No, it's a gas steal.
You never get gas before 12 or 13 supplies Terran, so that's just... I don't know. It feels a little bit
I suppose if Terran goes for like a quick command center, you have another build you do or something like that.
Yeah, it could be.
I'm not sure.
And just the probe, like if you are up to the task of microing this probe, it will stay alive until there are Marines out, and you will put a lot of damage on SCVs and force a decent amount of lost mining time. I would say not generally enough that, you know, the sending a probe on 7 is made up for completely. But hey, you might even get an SCV sometimes.
So the whole reason why we see the Protoss try to do this is because Terran basically have to mech. Well, C's controlling that SCV really well. Ooh. Nice. Gets the first SCV.
God. Now,
really good control.
Just to throw this out here, guys, this is the most frustrating thing on Earth to play against is a good probe user. Like, they excel faster, and they can kind of do a moving shot like you just saw. So it's like SCVs take a lot of damage from these guys despite their huge health pool.
So because Terran wants to get mech up and get factories up, taking the gas really limits it and gives a lot of different options here for the Protoss. And he's continuing to harass these SCVs. Bear in mind, the SCVs have to be attacking this. They would have been mining ideally. The probe continues to move around and harass, and now he wants the Marine to try to chase him.
Ooh. Took some extra damage off of that probe right there, so that was kind of nice.
Now he's going to slip around to the back, right-clicking on the minerals, and he should be met with a Marine. In fact, he's going to have to loop back around up here to the top.
Really smooth maneuvers now from this probe.
Keep in mind, this Marine is chasing the probe, not killing the assimilators. So this is actually working out really well. And what he might want to try to do is, right before the gas geyser is killed, jump on and make another one. It looks like that won't be possible because the Marine zones it out. But
yeah,
that was really good, and he's buying time while sending the Zealot and making a Nexus. So there's no cheese follow-up here for Bisu. No Reaver Rush. Nothing crazy that's going to really oppress the Terran. Instead, he wants to make a Nexus so he can expand ahead and play the game from there.
You know, just overall what Bisu did there, he's dictating the way that C has to play. He's like lessening the amount of options that C has. Maybe C didn't even want his gas. We don't know, right? But Bisu has forced him into a smaller set of possible strategies. So just, you know, basic RTS fundamentals. This is like a cool play out of Bisu. And he should have a build prepared from here where he's strong against all the different things C can do.
Exactly. Now, he's getting his cybernetics core very late. He's going to have a lot of probes to transfer over here to this expansion. So the tech could look pretty normal from the Protoss, but the big point is that the factory is much later. In fact, do we have a factory even making yet?
Not yet.
Not yet. So that lends itself to being a pretty big advantage. He may come in here with these Zealots and try to gun down or try to beat down these Marines, or it may be more worth it for him to try to stay back and have those pair up with Dragoons later on.
Yeah, I think he doesn't want to attack the Marines quite yet. This many Marines, you're going to do like, okay, if 2 Zealots come in, it's a little bit harder to micro against, but it's not really that big a deal for a Terran as strong as C. Just poking, kind of seeing the Marine counts and stuff like that, showing them you're out here. This is like a very soft contain as well. You know, it keeps Terran back just a little bit.
It keeps the Terran very honest. Now we have the 2 factories coming down here. We'll see if he gets an add-on right away, or if he wants to try to get a Vulture out here to maybe eliminate these 3 Zealots now that are outside of this location. And Protoss very steadily pumps out Dragoons, and will probably get a Robo from here.
You would certainly imagine so. You know, a build like this, you know that C can easily explode into 4 factories and really get a lot of units out on that map. And really, Vultures are going to be what you're most afraid of here, considering C's SCV saw when Dragoon range started. He's not really too afraid of anything right now, to be honest.
Yeah, C's in good shape. C's just trying to move around with this SCV and see if he can't get back inside the Protoss's main base. It looks like Bisu does have the option to try to intercept this with a Dragoon up here from the north.
Will do so, so the SCV's not going to get too much more intel. But it got a pretty good amount overall this game. Oh my god.
Oh my god, it got away.
Yay, Dragoon AI.
Yeah. You wouldn't believe how hard it is sometimes to hunt down that SCV when you're chasing it with a Dragoon. The Dragoon is a harder unit to control than most of the other units in the game. So the Dragoons are now coming down. He's going to use Dragoon range to try to hit this bunker. That'll force SCVs to get pulled off again. And he's going to take a third base behind this. So that just as Terran's getting his tech set up, Protoss is in a really good spot economically.
Yeah, and if this is enough, and it should be because he's making so many Dragoons, to kind of force C into siege mode, that's like the first step in making sure that your third base is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Because, like, Vultures is what you're really afraid of as Protoss.
And notice the Dragoons came in there first to soak the damage, and they're going to be backed up as the Zealots are going to be dealing damage even faster than they can keep up with. And these Marines are now getting mowed down. The Dragoons are going to try to jump on top of the tank.
Ooh.
Oh, man, this is really bad. C is falling apart.
That was a pretty sick targeting down of the tank, but with 2 more out and the Zealots all being dead, C is safe from here on out.
That's right.
Didn't lose too much. Like, he wanted those Marines to survive a little bit longer. Lost, you know, a few of his SCVs and stuff, but I liked that move by Bisu overall.
Yeah, and I also like the follow-up play because he's put pressure on the front. Behind this, he's going to get a Reaver to try to drop in here. And this is Bisu being a really calculated, smart Protoss player who's going to constantly abuse the position that Terran has been put in.
This is an interesting one, right? Because he knows that siege mode is up. And siege tanks do kill Reavers, but will he be defended against this? The Reaver is kind of a funny timing this game. A lot of times Reaver you're going to rush to very quickly, try to get him before they have defense. C should have enough to stomp it, but he doesn't know it's here. And also just the fact that he killed all of the Marines makes the shuttle much more mobile. You have 5-6 Marines and you spread them well, the shuttle starts taking a lot of damage and eventually you have to pull out. But right now, that shuttle can threaten things like Zealot bombs on the tanks. It's going to force out a few Goliaths, which is kind of nice as well, and maybe get some SCV kills.
I think it's a really smart play. So C is trying to get back into the natural state he wanted to be in when this matchup started. And he's getting the mech armory up, picking up a few units. This is going to keep C pinned in his main. We don't see any defense here, and that's in part... Oh, no, I'm sorry. He had a Goliath there. I stand corrected. This is in part because Terran is trying to rush up to get a solid push army. But he's got 4 Goliaths here. Now, those are not great for big ground pushes,
No.
so if he loses the shuttle, that could be really bad as well.
Well, he's on just 2 factories still at this point, right? So he might have added another one down at the bottom. I wasn't quite sure what that building is. But the fact that he's made 4 Goliaths here means that he has to go into a third base. There's not like a push that he can really make, I feel, that's going to do anything.
Now watch this. He'll drop the Zealot first to let that be hit by the siege tanks, and then drop the Reaver. Okay, he actually messed that up.
Or drop nothing.
Yeah, okay. Shuttle speed is done!
You've got to be kidding me.
Wow!
That is insane.
Okay, this puts Bisu in a very bad position.
A push can occur.
Yeah.
Like, you kill that off, oh my god. A shuttle plus 2 Zealots and a Reaver for literally 0 damage? This is, C has to be so happy with this.
And look at this, he's going to catch the Observer as well. C's always been very good about right when he leaves the entrance of his base scanning because he knows there's always going to be an Observer out there. This might cost Bisu the game.
Yeah, well, he has this whole tech route that does 0 now. There's 4 ranged Goliaths. He can't make another shuttle to go harass with.
Right.
And shuttles are going to do 0 right now against his siege tanks. So C, like, if I'm C right now, I'm pretty darn happy having caught that.
Yeah, well, he invested in shuttle speed, too, so that's even more that he lost with that those units that he made there. Normally when you get shuttle speed, the idea is that as long as you're controlling the shuttle well, you'll always pay off that shuttle speed of the damage you can do. But to lose it like that, Bisu may just be knocked out here. Believe it or not, the first guy to get knocked out of Group B. That's so weird.
Yeah, it truly would be bizarre. And I like how C's playing it. I truly do, right? Because he caught that and punished it instantly. He had the scan ready. He's going into the double armory, the third base. And this is a good map for this style of play as well. You know, just...
yeah.
Camelot, if you can turtle up and max out his Terran with decent upgrades, Protoss is not going to stop you.
Did not get the pylon wall up there in time. Oh my god, he actually got another Reaper here. It's almost a little bit risky.
I wonder if this is like the sunken cost fallacy that we're seeing out of Bisu. Do you think he thinks he can actually get damage done with this?
I think he may feel like he's forced into at least having a Reaver out here, even though there's a window of time. Plus, if Terran gets too greedy and pushes, you can use that Reaver with the push. Take out a lot of tanks, but...
Yeah, it can be annoying because a lot of times you lead with Vultures that don't have the range of a siege tank, and then, like, you know, a nice Scarab kills 2-3 Vultures. There are definitely uses of it. It's just, like, not... I don't think he's really going to get anything done with it, to be honest.
I think he might also feel like, just due to the way this map is shaped, he needs to use the Reaver to scoot that over to where the fourth base is and fire from there.
Okay.
Try to buy time.
Yeah, that makes sense in a way, right? Like, if Terran's pushing the center and is trying to use Vultures to break through a pylon wall or something, a Reaver is going to be great defense against that, especially since you have speed shuttles already.
Exactly. So he's trying his damnedest. Oh! Not bad.
A decent Scarab, for sure.
Not bad. Anyway, excuse me. This is going to be tough, though. Terran has a lot of room to try to push out in a little bit here. It's going to be very easy for the Terran in this position to cut off the third from the fourth.
Yeah, he can slow push this so strongly. Bisu, like, it looks like he's getting ready to go into Arbiters, which is all cool and nice, but the push is going to be so strong. There's already a huge amount of turrets out there as well. I don't think Arbiters are going to come in time to save the fourth base. I don't think that that's a realistic possibility.
I think it's possible Protoss has to rely on doing a big counterattack over here. Now, see, he can use the Reavers like this. Oh, nice. My God. Wow, that Reaver
that was...
shoots from the hip, my friend. We
don't normally Reaver
see,
in the West.
That's right. We don't normally see a Scarab gun down a spider mine.
That's already en route.
Yeah.
Seriously, we don't see that.
That's like really rare.
That's such a weird thing.
It can happen. Had he lost the Reaver there, it would have been even worse, since these are the most expensive units is what he's losing. He does have Templars, by the way, and this is a bit of a variation from a lot of the other PvT techs we'll see. He has Storm available before Arbiter tech.
I prefer this, actually, a lot for this position, just because he needs C to make a mistake from here. And Psystorm is one of the best things in the entire game at abusing mistakes. So if C attacks too quickly, bam, a couple storms pop out of this shuttle, and suddenly your army is so soft that Protoss can roll through.
And in case you're wondering why the Protoss wants the Templars in the shuttle, it's because you don't want the Templars to get sniped. Okay, now he's going to come in here. I believe this is the Reaver.
Yeah.
Oh, no, these are the Templars. Excuse me. We have some
that was a sick storm.
Down. I don't know if the cells can get back there, though. They're actually getting clogged up movement speed-wise.
A few of them do get in on top of these siege tanks. A lot of damage being dealt, but he certainly has enough siege tanks to hold on. Will he lose his command center?
If he can get the command center, that's huge. I don't believe he can. Okay, a little bit of an overextension.
Yeah.
Once your zealots are gone, you basically have to back up. But he's getting Arbiters. He forced a lift. Keep in mind, it's now 4 bases versus 2 bases until the Terran has that command center landed. +2 attack, +1 armor is done for C. I'm not totally clear on what the Protoss's upgrades are. Do we know?
I think he has like +1.
One?
I believe he's got +1 right now. Just on attack, of course. Like, armor upgrades don't scale that well against Terran.
Oh, please don't tell me he's going to try to fly in here. The same turret that kills that shuttle kills another one.
Yeah.
Well, look, that was a good attack there.
It was.
By Bisu. It was a bit of a bludgeoning, forced entry, but the storm's off on the tanks. He took out a good number of them. The tanks are having to be remade. That being said, though, C is now expanding over here to the center right, and that's going to give him a very short push distance to the top right.
Like, he can almost defend and kill a base at the same time. It's just a natural extension of the direction in which he's expanding. But Bisu, having done that much damage to that army, like, I feel like he's not in as bad a position as he was in before. You know, he's got the Psystorm, he's got some Arbiters out now, and you can start to make some miracles happen with those 2 units.
So what he's been doing this game is he's continued to make shuttles. You don't normally see this many shuttles in a normal PvT, but because he got the shuttle speed, and he knows it's a pretty tight game. Okay, hold up. He's going to try to do a storm drop. This may actually work. This is super risky, but if you pull it off, you basically,
God.
that was beautiful. He makes one Archon, so he's doing a ton of damage over there. He's dropping with Reavers, so he's using the shuttle speed later on in this game. He needs to fire that Scarab.
I almost feel like Bisu is playing a PvZ right now with the amount of harass he's doing. Double shuttles all over the place. Every harassment unit Protoss has, and now Arbiters are out. And another shuttle over here as well. I love it.
With the number of SCVs he's killed, if Protoss gets 1 or 2 good stasises and a few good storms in a big fight, Terran's lost all the momentum, and he's going to have to just drop the Reaver here and try to fire from a distance.
Well, the Reaver has done a lot more than I ever really thought it would. Bisu's done a fantastic job now, starting to attack in here, leading with a few Dragoons to clear some of these mines. The Zod's going to start coming in.
Okay, good stasis on those tanks. The main is vulnerable. He's dropping a few Templars to try to get some storms off where he can.
Okay, some good size storms, really softening up a bunch of these Vultures here as well. A ton of C's army is actually north at his 3rd and 4th base.
I think he
Zealot's getting on top of these also.
And keep in mind, there's not a lot of SCVs here. All that Protoss has to do is push on top of this. This is why Bisu is regarded as the best Protoss in the world. The Reaver's still back here, by the way.
God.
Storm's coming down on this base. I can't believe he actually busted this down.
Madness. 15 kills on that High Templar. The epitome of cost efficiency coming out of Bisu right now. Expanding all over the map. He's about to have 6 bases behind this as well. Even if C were to hold this off, I don't know that he's ever going to have enough again to do a push.
Yeah, he's actually going to get the command center here. All he needs to do is scoot a little bit further in. And while this is all happening, remember, oh my God, is he going to be able to get up here and get more workers? That's so huge. He should just leave that right there.
Yeah, that is crazy how much damage he's done. C will eventually clean this out. He's got good upgrades. He's got a lot of production buildings, but his economy has been shattered. He's got like no SCVs at this point.
Yeah, well, every single base but the 3rd was hit with Storm.
Yeah.
Or Reaver shots, I should say. I think all that Protoss has to do is continue to remax out and try to come in here and bust down Terran again.
Yeah.
Just wherever the tanks are not, it's really just dependent on how the Terran tries to defend, and you try to play around that. And
look at that, an Arbiters.
Revenge to the Arbiters here, taking down the scanner before a command center can be made there.
And he has an observer kind of watching where everything is anyways, so he can attack wherever. He's got enough bases. He's got enough gateways. Look at this, another speed shuttle. This is just great play out of Bisu, man, to bring this game right back after that lost Reaver shuttle.
Yeah, well, he really knows how to sustain in a mid-game, especially on a map like this. Look at that, him dragging that 1 or 2 Zealots through the mines to make the Dragoon's job of cleaning that up a little bit easier. I don't think there's any more observers here, so he has to back up, but he does get that science vessel, which is huge.
Tasos, now this is what I remember PVT looking like, to be perfectly honest. We've seen a lot of Terrans dominating in the early seasons of ASL, but Bisu bringing it back.
This is your experience of
this is my experience
TV
specifically.
So I got to say, Bisu's really doing this correctly, and he's now taking the bottom left main, so there's no easy location to push up from. I don't even think C should be trying to edge out over here. This is going to be an easy cleanup. In fact, there's not that many Vultures over here to try to defend. Okay, he's got some up there now. He's going to go for a recall now, and he's going to recall everything right over here. He might even want to recall right there, or I guess he's going to do it right over the factory.
Oh my God. I don't know if this is a good idea anymore.
Oh, this is so ballsy.
I don't know that he should do this, man.
Oh, he actually got it. But I don't know. I think there might be too much over here.
It's a lot of units here. He has the
shuttle.
Oh God, the shuttle let out 1 High Templar. Nothing got off. And this is like Bisu being really far ahead and just being like, die, get out of the game. Because I don't feel like this was a good move at all.
I think he needs to gun down that scanner and try to scoot up further. He's actually going to go for the armory here.
That one's not even upgrading. It's already +3 attack.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Well, he's trying to buy time. So this was a bungled recall, and Protoss can definitely do this. I think sometimes people look at a recall like it's a game-ending move, but a lot of times it can end the game for you. Now, he did drag the army down there, though, and what's important is that if you're in a position like Bisu is, you can start it from multiple locations as the Protoss army is weaker but much more nimble than the Terran mech army is.
And I got to say, I'm a little bit surprised C brought these siege tanks up here. It's super clear that Bisu will have enough units to kill this, and the map is small, so he'll get there quickly. I feel like C really needed to bring all of his units up. I think that, like, Bisu definitely gave him an opportunity to maybe start a comeback, and that attack from C was not the way to do it.
Okay, he's going to try to get this Arbiter out of here. It looks like it will go down. So Terran really limping through this game, but did Bisu overextend? I mean, it's certainly possible. He's going to continue to try to push out here. However, the bottom left, pretty much all of the left side of the map, has been acquired pretty effectively. So you do have to wonder, you know, if let's say C wipes this out at the upper right, does he still have the push power to try to take on the center left as well?
Another shuttle coming in right now. I'm not sure exactly what's inside of there, but might be able to get some more damage done. These vultures trying to lay some mines to slow down any attacks. Double
this is
reader.
so hilarious.
This is.
Okay, well, you can start to shoot depots, and when they're stacked together like this,
you can
do a
kill 4 at
lot.
once.
Yeah, you can do a lot of damage. And this is going to slow Terran down from maxing out. Plus, it's kind of hard and annoying to fight Reavers head on. He's also going to stop Goliaths from being made in this game by taking that out.
Oh my God. Everything dying for C in his main base
Look at this.
right now.
This is so smart. We don't normally see this, this style, but it does work. And since he had the Reaver tech and probably had plenty of money, and there was no reason to not do this. You see how fast he's taking these depots out.
Yeah, and Terran has to build depots like that or they won't all fit. So
yeah.
But again, like you never really see this out of Protoss. Really cool move here from Bisu, capitalizing on like not just this previous Reaver tech, but making things out of the robo to do damage.
Right.
Which is really cool because a lot of times late game it's like, okay, you have a shuttle and you make observers.
Basically, his robo has been like a gateway that's been producing this entire game.
Yeah.
Observers,
it's like a
shuttles,
StarCraft
Reavers.
2 robo.
Yeah,
it's just
really
like adding to your army nonstop.
Okay, the shuttle is now going to come in here again. I think this is going to be the killing blow. He's basically chewed through Terran from inside out.
This is hilarious. He's like storming one Goliath right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, C just doesn't have anything left. And the runner-up of ASL last season, Tasteless, is most certainly going out in last place in this group.
Yeah, Terran is going to try to box himself here into the upper right, but you now even see Bisu expanding to the bottom center. Whoa, that was a really good stasis. Now just trying to bully his way through here. Keep in mind, these are the only mech units that he has right now, so it doesn't really matter if Protoss trades cost inefficiently because eventually all these units are going to go down. Command Center's unable to return home in time.
Nothing left here for C.
Yep, this is going to be the killing blow here.
He's letting it sink in right now as he tries to be as efficient as is possible against Protoss, but Bisu can attack move with Reavers at this point and win this game.
And this means that Bisu is going to go up against Effort, and then one of those two is going to be eliminated. And yeah, Artosis, our player who got second place last season, losing to Flash in a great series, is being eliminated.
Yeah, it's a wild thing. He's a great player, and he actually did some great moves this game, but definitely a few mistakes here and there as well. Bisu's showing just ridiculously strong PvT after a botched early mid-game, losing that Reaver shuttle.
There it is, GG.
GG.
C.
That ... is a nod towards the fact that Bisu played Protoss against him, man. The hate against Protoss is just as strong in StarCraft 1 and StarCraft 2.
That was a great game by him. He came in there with his shuttle and lost it. And usually that means the Terran can try to close out a win, but he doubled down on the shuttle play, which was very interesting.
Yeah, and I love the High Templars getting Size Storm, delaying those Arbiters a little bit. I think that was a crucial thing that he did. The fact that he used Reavers throughout the game was really magnificent. I do think the recall on the main base was a mistake, but he made up for it when C just was like, I'll attack with 6 siege tanks in a lineup here, and then C lost like 7-8 siege tanks you know, to that counter. And it's like, oh man, this is where you really need to hunker down, get your full army together, and abuse your upgrades.
I think he needed to get more turrets set up everywhere.
Yeah.
Play a little bit more of a macro game.
Just turtle push everything, man. Mines everywhere. Just make Bisu as angry as you can, basically, as a Terran player.
Nicely done there by Bisu, but going up against Effort is no easy feat, and we'll be going to that match after this short break.
지금까지 방구하러 가서 이런 나쁜 말 들어본 적 있어? 모두가 쉬쉬해온 방에 대한 나쁜 정보. 다방면으로 보자. 다방.
이게 도대체 뭐야?
대박.
소름.
사전 등록하면은 소미 캐릭터 준대요.
아버지와 더 가까워질 당신, 질레트가 응원합니다.
영상 왔다. 잘못 냈다가는 어떤 취급받으냐면 김종국 취급받습니다. 황간창법. 생각의 전환이 조금 필요합니다. 고음부터 빡 주세요. 뭐야? 진짜 본인 목소리예요? 아니 톤이 너무 신기해가지고 나는. 뭐야? 노렸어요?
월드 오브 탱크블리처 맞춰주면 터지죠 나이스. 야, 내가 제일 잘하는 것 같은데 일반 여자들 중에 맞지? 소련이 좋다고? 이거 멋있더라 사막. 자 운전 잘해줘야죠. 뒷부다 나와. 죄송합니다. 터집니다. 똥 탱크 새끼들 앞만 보고 있지. 당원의 장사. 탱크가 너무 약해. 튕겼습니다. 이 튕겨 나오네. 왜 이렇게 센데 이 탱크. 월드 오브 탱크 블리츠 많이 사랑해 주시고요.
뭐야 이게? 설마 탄?
전국민 슈팅 그라운드 탄. 지금 사전 예약하세요.
빛의 힘을 보여드리죠.
반갑네.
얘들아, 힘을 빌려줘. 누구도 나를 막을 순 없어. 방해하겠다면 전부 부숴주지. 판타지 마스터즈 2.
Welcome back to the ASL. We are going to a very exciting final match. It's crazy to say, but either Bisu or Effort is going to get knocked out in the round of 16. And I'm going to be sad either way to see these two guys go, but this was the hardest group for sure.
Oh, this is the group of death, and like all four of these guys are round of 8-ish material, right? So it's sad to see anyone leave, but you know what's really pretty awesome?
What are Doses?
Bisu against Effort. This is literally a finals that we had last year.
These guys are both so good at this respected matchup.
Oh my god.
I have no idea what Everett's got in store for Bisu. We saw Soulkey advance first, and Soulkey did manage to break apart Bisu as he was greedily taking the third base on Andromeda. This map's going to be circuit breakers, so it could be a pretty traditional PvZ Expo game. I don't know, man. Expect anything.
Yeah. It's hard to say how this will go down, you know. Bisu will not be taking such a quick third because there is not the opportunity to do so on this map. And I think that maybe bodes well for him, right? He's not going to just lose straight up, I think, to something like a five-hatch Hydra.
This is going to be a lot of fun, man. Can Bisu advance? Effort, one of the mechanically best players of all time, as Zerg gets the mechanically best player of all time with Protoss, the revolutionary Bisu. Let's see what happens. All right, here we go. Cross spots. In the bottom right, in the teal, Artosis, not the green, it's Bisu.
Very good, tasteless. Now what about this one?
In the upper left, in the taupe, is Effort.
The taupe!
Actually, I don't know what color taupe is. In the white, in the gray.
It's an off-white, maybe?
If it was a Crayola color, it could be like, in the rainy day.
Rainy day.
Yeah.
Overcast.
Yeah.
Overcast white.
Overcast, yeah. Overcast
There you
white.
go. London fog. There you go.
Okay. So, as we've seen in other PVZs, almost always the Protoss has to do some iteration of a fast expand. It's too important for Protoss to get an additional base up, especially an additional gas up, to try to compete with the Zerg. That doesn't mean we don't see other builds where they go for a one base, but those builds are so technical. That's almost for another time. Now, will he go for the gateway or will he go for the forge? That's the big question. Protoss have the option of just doing a cannon expand, or doing a cannon rush into an expand, or they can go for a gateway on low ground and try to pressure with zealots.
And, Bisu, kind of a master of everything that you can do in this matchup. Of course, very well known for that, as I think most people do now. Also, I do need to say, the studio is super filled up today to the point where they, like when we normally get into the studio at least an hour before, and already like every chair was taken. They filled up every possible area with chairs. And there are people standing like all over the place. So the crowds are real, man. People are hyped, and this is, probably the best match you could hope for. These two having so many great PVZs in the past.
It's pretty suspenseful. Ooh. Good job hiding the drone. The probe can be used to try to block the drone from making... Oh, my God. Bisu cannot be fooled.
Bisu cannot be fooled.
He cannot be fooled, guys.
Bisu sees all.
That was pretty meta. He knew that there was probably something down there, so he's delayed this hatchery even further. Will he make a pylon to try to slow it down? And he does not. Back at home, it's a forge and a nexus, and then a cannon right after that.
I love that. Bisu cannot be fooled! So feels a disturbance in the force, and the probe just turns her eyes like, no!
So, the probe now comes up here. The probe has to monitor how many more lings are going to come out here for the Zerg, so you know how many cannons you need to get, as well as what the tech path is looking like for Zerg. For instance, in this case, it's 2 hatches and an extractor, so that means that Zerg might try to do a Hydra bust, but the likelihood of that happening goes down more and more and more the longer the probe's in there. Now we see a third hatchery be made here at the center left. The Zerg can still do some kind of cheese against this.
Certainly, yeah. You can 3-hatch Hydra is definitely one of the cheesier strats that can be very hard for a Protoss player to hold off, but Bisu will keep this probe alive for a startlingly long amount of time, so that should be able to kind of give him the intel. He can try to spot, like, okay, are you going layer at what time? Hydralis Den, when is that? How many hatcheries am I seeing? And, hopefully be able to just kind of have the right amount of cannons that he holds on against whatever comes at him.
As we can see, the probe continues to glide by the main hatchery, and he wants to see what's coming out of the eggs, because it's still ambiguous for the Protoss player. He's looking for lings or drones. And while he's doing that, he's checking for tech. And, of course, since the hatchery, pretty much the only place that Zerg can build right now is right over there, he can now see the layers coming. So it's not a lot of surface area to try to cover. And you can see now the probe just goes down. There should be a hatchery done. Anything suspect here? Probably not.
Yeah, and sometimes you see a macro hatchery at that natural as well, so you can look for that. Might go up here, try to spot, like, okay, there's no hatchery up here. Maybe go down, check that 9 o'clock. Okay, hatchery here, checklist in his head.
It's also important to note that there's a lot of places Zerg can take the third. They can also take other naturals towards other mains, which allows them to take that main base later on, and that's more of a turtley style. So if the Protoss can't find the hatches right away, it could be tougher for them to confirm what's going on and then know how to respond from there.
Now, he's only counted 3 hatcheries this entire time. Not that that is suspect really in any way, but he just doesn't have a ton of intel at the moment.
Right.
We didn't see a layer started before his probe left the main base. We didn't see a Hydralis Den started. So at least he pretty much knows this is, well, he does know this is not a 3-hatch Hydra bust. And that's really important, because that's like the earliest all-in that isn't a Zerg all-in that you have to make a bunch of cannons against, basically.
Exactly. And with the layer attack coming, he may be concerned about Mutalisks coming. Good control here by Effort, not letting the other Lings take too much damage. Bisu is going to draw these Lings down, probably try to get cover behind a mineral patch if he can find one. It doesn't look like Effort's going to let that happen.
Yeah, and by the way, actually, something I want to mention.
Yeah.
In StarCraft 1, we used to have all sorts of micro maps, and there's like very classic things like microing a Zealot against 4 Lings.
You might want to explain what a micro map is, actually.
So in StarCraft 1, there's actually a lot more deliberate practice going on than in StarCraft 2, where, like, for instance, there's a Mutalisk map where every pro would practice a Mutalisk map for hours a day if they were a Zerg player.
Yeah.
Just microing mutas, because you just need to be good at microing mutas. And we had a lot of kind of more generic ones that were just micro challenges or micro maps where
try to beat these Zealots with your SCVs and Marines,
like
for instance.
And for instance, there would be ones where you're trying to just beat large amounts of units from the computer that may or may not have been programmed smartly to act or attack move in certain ways. Or it could be like, I have 4 Zerglings, you have a Zealot, and then you have a Zealot, or I have a Zealot and you have 4 Zerglings, that type of thing. But, like, for instance, 4 Zerglings versus a Zealot is one of the really classic micro battles in StarCraft.
That's right.
Like, a Zealot can disarm 4 Zerglings, but 4 Zerglings while micro can disarm a Zealot, so it's kind of neat.
It's actually quite an even fight, and so people would practice that a lot to try to get their control down here. By the way, we do know what Effort's doing now. He's doing 5-hatch Hydra. There may be a 6th hatch added.
It looks like there's a 6th hatch at the 3rd base, but I was like staring at it.
There's 2 down there.
Yeah, and there's 3 at the natural, isn't there?
I think there's 2, man.
Am I crazy?
Oh, well, you're crazy.
Am I crazy?
Even if you're right about this, you're
okay,
definitely
that's a Hydralisk
insane.
Den.
Yeah.
Wait, Hydralisk Den have larvae, don't they? I'm a fraud.
He is going to get Overlord speed here, and what he's going to do is try to have micro fights on the middle of the map. This many speed Hydras with range are tough, even if the Protoss has a lot of Zealots with legs to try to fight it. That doesn't mean he's going to go for a bust, although let's say he wins a big fight in the middle of the map. He might do that anyways. And Bisu's going for the more standard PvZ opener that he's popularized for some time now, which is just continuing to pump Corsairs to make the Hydras respect the Corsairs and have to defend a little bit while he gets Zealots with legs and Psystorm. And he's going to have a very late Robo here.
And this is really the more current meta of PvT anyways, or at PvZ, sorry.
That was close.
Thanks, Stasis.
This is why
I wasn't sure if that was a Zerg or Terran there.
Sometimes he's not sure what race is actually playing here.
I don't...
Okay, hold up. He's actually got a run for sure. This is too many Hydras. If you do it just right, you can have like enough Hydras that they cannot collide into a base and do damage.
Yeah, so he's making quite a few cannons here. His Psystorm is going to be a little bit late against this initial push, but he's still kind of harassing with the Corsairs, making some of the Hydras stay at home. Still has a lot of Zealots out here, and in fact, if he can get on top of the Hydras, Zealots can trade reasonably well.
Okay, so he needs these 2 cannons to finish. Now, hopefully he won't just die here. We don't know if Storm is quite done yet.
It's not quite done. Like, his Temple Archives was a little bit late, so he definitely doesn't have Storm right this second, but it should be finishing pretty soon.
Now, if he can take out the Forge, that's actually pretty big. Is +1 done for the Zealots? Is this +2
I don't think
here?
so. I think he has +1 on the way still, but well, I guess we'll see if he ever clicks on it. Attacking forward, trying to keep this Forge and Gateway alive.
Okay, very nicely done.
Yeah, Effort was a little bit slow on moving out of there.
Yeah, Effort really wanted to get that Forge back there. Now, the Zealots coming across the map here with the Corsairs. Suddenly, the Overlords have to be retreated. And Bisu may be able to take a 3rd base or try to push, depending on how much damage he can do.
And some of these Overlords going to be picked off. There is a Spire in the way. A lot more Hydras coming out here as well. Zealot's going to have to turn around and run for the time being. Psystorm for sure should be done at this point, and that Robo over halfway done.
Now, the Corsairs aren't just used to bully Overlords. They're also used to try to continue to scout and see if Zerg is tech switching and what their other plans are this game. Now, the attack is coming in here. Good Storm there on the bridge.
Ooh, that was a really nice one. A lot of damage being dealt out there. The Hydra's being pulled back, microed very nicely against the Zealots in those chokes.
Notice he didn't bring all the Templars with him because he didn't want to have any Templars gunned down as he had to spam out Storms. And it's very important that when Protoss storms, they trade effectively. Because if the Zerg just dodge it, then the Hydras win the game.
Yeah. Now, I love the fact that he's going into Spire, by the way, because when you're on Zealot High Templar, if you don't have enough Corsairs, then suddenly Mutas can actually find and kill High Templars really quickly.
That's right.
Psystorm can damage them a lot, but there's nothing that actually hits air aside from these Corsairs for Protoss. So
you'd have to have an Archon or something.
Yeah.
And then you don't have the Storms, and so then it goes back to the Hydras.
And Mutas technically can out-micro an Archon. So there are like these little ways that Effort might be able to dance around, pick off a couple High Templars, and if you reduce their Storm count by 2-3 Storms, the Hydras might just bowl them over.
Okay, Effort's going to try to come around here for a snipe on the Nexus. It looks like Bisu's going to be ready. There are more. Oh, nice Storm again there. Really trading effectively. Look at that. Another attack over here. He has to be very conservative with the Storm. You do not just spam it out on anything.
No, you have to hit him just right
It's
here.
difficult to emphasize just how hard it is to move Templars. They're very slow. They die very quickly. So a lot of times you have to have them positioned perfectly before the fight occurs.
Now, there's 6 hatches right now just pumping out these Hydras. We haven't seen any Lurker tech as of yet. The Spire is finished, though.
He may be trying to go for a bust, Artosis. He may not want to try to necessarily go into this macro fourth game. Yeah, now he's going to get this hatchery over here, but he still may try to come in here with the Mutas, gun down the Templars, and then overwhelm them with the Hydras.
If he sees the Corsairs somewhere else on the map and he has a straight line towards those High Templars, this few Dragoons is not enough to actually stop the Mutas from killing off a whole bunch of Templars. So that is a move that is so strong against Protoss if you catch them off guard. Now the Mutas, they're trying to stay away from wherever Corsairs are right now. I love watching the mini-map. See, there are the Corsairs.
They're flying in between everything.
Yep.
Good catch, good catch.
But that
Hold
means
up.
that they aren't here for the Mutas. Quite a few Dragoons being added in right now.
The Dragoons are the perfect response here for the mass Mutas because it makes the Mutas more at risk if they try to fly through like they are right here.
Oh, and a nice Sidestorm goes down onto those Mutalisks still. He's just trying to suicide them. He doesn't expect them all to live.
Now the Hydras are going to come in. Did he do enough damage? These Templars being skirted back up over here towards where the cannons are. I think he might be able to hold off Effort's attack.
Oh, well, Effort needs to pull back with this group of Hydras. That one will be massacred. Coming up and storming. Oh, beautiful storm going off onto Effort's army. Barely getting away with any Hydras.
Yeah, I think he basically held that off. He's going to go ahead and remake the Templars. The Corsairs are still in the game, looping around the Hydras to try to shut down anything that is moving around the map that's vulnerable. More gateways are coming out. There's a very high chance that Protoss will try to push coming up here.
Well, he definitely should, I think. He has a very strong Dragoon count right now. As soon as he remacros some of these Zealots out and High Templars, his army is getting really scary. +2 attack even finished. Those Mutalisks didn't really pay off because the move is to sacrifice your Mutas to get rid of almost all their Sidestorms so you can bust, but he wasn't able to bust. So now Bisu is able to easily take this 4th base, and the only thing he's going to have to worry about going forward are the Lurkers.
So what he's going to do is a mobile soft defense here with this massive amount of Lurkers. He's going to try to continue to rotate the Lurkers out here, so it's undesirable for the Protoss to try to push forward. You cannot engage Lurkers with Zealots unless it's a small number of Lurkers and you're surrounding them. And so this is where the Protoss has to have everything control grouped up properly, where the Dragoons only, along with the Observers, will try to gun this down, while the rest of the army for the Zerg is going to try to shoot down the Observers so that they can't see this. And that's why that Observer, the Overlord you see moving over that Observer is so important.
Yeah, and microing those Observers as well is Bisu. He's not just attack moving them in the whole time. He has to bring them back when Overlords are near. Picking off a few of these, but as the Zealot count goes down, he has to be very careful about it. Oh my god, the Scourge trying to pick off all of these Observers, and Overlord flying in to give that vision.
I think he actually may have split up enough of his army here. He's got Zealots attacking over here. It's unfortunately they're not hitting those drones. More reinforcements are coming up here. He needs to get a good storm up for this Templar.
Yeah, this is going badly for Bisu right now. You cannot fight with just Dragoons against anything. They definitely are support units, but these Zealots doing tons of counter damage. In fact, they do get the hatchery.
The other Zealots are now moving out here. He's hoping that there is not a Lurker defense, and there's not over here at this other base.
Oh!
With the egg wall!
Beautiful move there out of Effort. Screwing up the eye of these Zealots. Just amazing. Look at that. Even morphing eggs on the damage Hydralisks.
So it's really hard for the Zealots to actually kill an egg. The egg has way too much armor.
Yeah.
That was such a good hold.
Stupid good.
That was so sick.
Literal god effort right now.
That was so...
Dude.
You know, it's so hard to explain the timing that you need with that.
The
and to know the
eggs
placement.
into the lurkers,
Yeah.
it's just like, this is called egg defense, okay? Now, this is a use map for effort, and he just destroyed this Bisu Protoss. Oh, my God. Like, that was just magnificently done. You know, he's recovering beautifully right now.
Although I have to say, it seems like already we've seen Bisu shifting gears. He's got a shuttle with 2 DTs that's headed northbound on the map, and he's going to try to go into the main here. You can see these overlords are coming through here. He's hoping he can spot for where the observers are, because if he can get a snipe off on the observers, well, then there's nothing that the Zerg or the Protoss can do directly to try to respond to a ton of lurkers defending.
Yeah, you will not be able to break him, and that is the only mobile detection that Protoss has. So it becomes very annoying. One Psystorm does not kill a full health lurker. That is a very important thing to keep in mind. So you can't just clear them. You need that detection there as well. But look, this DT drop, one-shotting these workers, like if he gets one at that third base, or I guess it's actually the fourth base and one in the main or something like that, it looks like that's the direction he's flying towards. This could be devastating.
Okay, he's got 2 DTs coming up here, and there is no detection. And with this much going on the map, there's a chance that Effort doesn't notice it immediately. He just started. Okay, good eye on Effort.
Oh my God!
Before they even got a hit.
Right, Bisu's moving through the middle of the map. He was meaning to do this while the DTs were killing a bunch of stuff, but I mean, the DTs have done nothing, and Effort can put a lot of attention into this army.
This is very difficult for Protoss to break through, but I think he actually might have managed to do it. Now he's going to run the DTs away, hit with the Zealots up here at the top, while trying to pressure the third base. So much going on at once here.
Some of these Zealots getting shredded by those lurkers. Bisu continuing to attack up into this fourth base location. These lurkers getting stuck. A beautiful Psystorm goes down. Plenty of observers here as well.
Barely not storming his observers. Another hatchery goes down as these Zealots continue to spill through.
And the Zealots running in right now. The lurkers coming up for the flank. Effort still macroing like a god. More DTs in that main base being sent back in. Effort is starting to lose this fourth as well.
Bisu might just have enough going on that his opponent cannot keep up. Looks like the 2 observers just to the right of our screen are going to get shot down by those Scourge, but the pressure's still on, and there's still 1 observer remaining. GG!
Wow. Just Bisu showing his strength as a multitask Protoss. Everything happening everywhere at once and taking down Effort. What an epic PvZ.
He really did a great job back there. I gotta say, Effort looked pretty scary throughout that game, but Bisu just kept responding. Getting in there, doing the damage, and even a Zerg with really solid defense, a player like Bisu could penetrate. He was hitting 3 to 4 different locations at the end of that game and controlling every aspect of the fight. And that means that Effort has been knocked out of the ASL in the round of 16, and Bisu moves on to the round of 8.
I was a bit worried when he fell to Soulkey in that first map of the night, but to come back and show that type of game, hitting this many locations, his star sense was off the charts, even transitioning into that extra group of Dragoons, so that, you know, the muted switch really didn't do much. Everything about it, just a fantastic win for Bisu. Very well-deserved round of 8.
People are going wild right now. We're going to have an interview with Bisu and see what his thoughts are now that he's moving on to the round of 8.
김태경 선수.
네, 감사합니다.
정말 어렵게
Congratulations, Bisu. Oh, thank you.
거쳐서 8강 진출에 성공을 했어요. 소감이 어떠신가요?
저도 어떻게 이긴지 모를 정도로 너무 시간이
You
빨리
made it to
간
the
것
round of
같아요.
8.
네.
집중을 많이 해가지고
I don't even remember these games.
뒤지 전까지도 제가 뭐
I was so
이겼다, 이런 것도
focused.
판단이 안 됐고 정말 좀 힘든 경기였던 것 같습니다.
네, 정말 얼굴이 깊은.
I don't even know if I was winning the matches.
아이고.
Like, you know, he was just so in the moment, he wasn't even sure what was occurring.
오늘 많은 분들 오셔가지고 너무 좋고요.
I'm just very
그래서
happy.
그런지 좀 처음에 긴장을 많이 한
A
것
lot
같아요.
of people
제가
came
좀
down to the
손이
studio
안
today.
풀렸는지 좀
But that
떨었던 것
makes me a
같고
bit
그다음에
nervous
이제
as well.
좀 풀리면서 보성이랑 하면서 풀리면서 그때부터 좀 잘 된 것 같아요.
네, 오늘 긴장을 좀 하셨다고
You know, I think I wasn't
했는데
warmed up enough,
경기에서
and my
좀
hands
보완하고
didn't
싶은
move
점이
as I
있다면
wanted them
어떤 점이
to.
있을까요?
보완할 거는 그냥
After that match against C, though, I could move my hands a lot better.
그런 부분들이 조금 부족했기 때문에 김민철
What do you need to make up
선수에게
for next round?
그 허를 찔렸던 거 아니겠습니까?
I think I need to study the maps a bit more and how to play them.
아예 그냥 제 머릿속에 아예 없어가지고 당황했죠.
So now they're talking about the match against
한번
Soulkey.
지게 되면서 아 진짜 이거 큰일 났다라는 생각하에 제대로
I did not expect such a fast Hydra Bust there.
연보동 선수와의 그런
He certainly
경기는
prepared
어떤
very
식으로
well.
그 구도를 짰던 건가요?
그게 이제 리버로 좀 피해를 많이 줘야 되는데
How did you prepare for your match
리버가
against
좀
C?
그냥 무난하게 죽는 바람에 오늘 그냥 뭐 죽었구나.
My plan is to send in a Reaver and do a lot of damage with it. But my first Reaver didn't give much damage. Read none.
보통 프로듀스는 초중반
So
정도의
after my
리버를
first
쓰다가
Reaver got
후반부에 안
killed,
쓰잖아요. 그 20분
I
정도
tried to
됐을
just
때
focus
갑자기
more.
리버 두 개가 딱 하고 테란의 본진에 들어가서 엄청난 그 활약을 하는 모습 정말 멋진 장면이었었는데
That's where
리버를
he hit
뽑을
Super
생각은
Reaver level
어떻게
2.
하셨습니까?
좀 나중에 이제 병력
You
쓰다
sent two
보니까
Reavers in your
터렛이
opponent's
좀
base,
없더라고요.
and they did a lot of damage.
많이 휘둘릴 것 같아가지고 그때쯤 이제 쓰면 좀 통하지 않을까 싶어가지고 사용하게 됐죠.
예, 아 정말 멋진 그런 장면이었고 마지막 경기에서는 와 진짜 이게
You know, I had a
혼자
feeling at that
게임을 하는
point
것이 맞나
that if I
싶을
sent in
정도로
some Reavers, I
여러
could get a lot of
방향에서
damage done.
11시, 12시, 뭐 11,
And,
다시
you
한번
know,
또
it
한
helped me to
11시
direct
반
the game.
방향, 뭐 세 방향에 동시에 막 병력들을 보내는 모습을 봤는데 그러면 자신의 그
Said, I can't even believe that you have only two hands. You just sent armies everywhere. Your multitasking is out of control.
좀 빈틈이 많거든요.
How do you even do that?
많이 부어가지고 러커도 없고.
Yeah, I want those tips too.
느리고 그쯤에 이제 드론 이제.
How do you multitask so well?
그때는 이제 노려야겠다는 생각이었죠.
예, 아 정말 멋졌고요. 자 이번에
Said, well, I realized that my opponent was going into mutas pretty late,
되겠습니까?
and I can't calculate everything. So I was just trying to shake him up.
어렵게 뚫어가지고 8강부터 일단 생각을 해야 될 것 같아요.
예, 천천히 한번.
Yeah, my round of 16 matches were tougher than I expected.
네, 정말 멀티태스킹의 끝판왕을 본 기분이었는데
I
오늘
need
또
to think
김태경
more
선수
and
응원해주시는
prepare
분들
better for the round of
굉장히
8.
많아요. 현장에도 오프라인에도 있고 온라인에도 있을 텐데 그
There are a
팬분들께
lot of
인사 한
fans.
말씀 하셔야죠.
It's not just at the studio, but a lot of people are watching online as well. You have anything to say to all your fans?
와!
He says,
네,
yes,
축하드립니다,
I will show
김태경 선수.
everything that
네.
Protoss is capable of.
네, 오늘
Oh,
마지막
sick. I just got nerd chills from that one, tasteless.
Dude, he's playing really well.
He will show everything that Protoss can do.
He did a lot of that today.
Well, he's the greatest Protoss of all time, so like if anyone can do that, Bisu might just straight win this season.
He looks so good. Even in games where he's made a mistake, he can recover in such a beautiful fashion.
Yeah.
By the way, Soulkey is going to be interesting to watch and see how he advances.
Yeah. Soulkey and Shine, slight surprises in the round of 8.
Yeah, it really is. I got to say, though, Soulkey definitely did the build that stopped Bisu before he could really get the game started. So kudos to him for that. And then he beat Effort in a ZVZ, which is no small feat. Oddly enough, it was C who was our first loser here tonight, the player that got second in the last ASL. But that just goes to show you how competitive this tournament really is.
Kind of crazy, but it is the group of death, so I guess he can be forgiven this time. Hopefully we see him back next season. I have almost no doubt of that, but I'm just happy, to be honest, that Bisu has made it through, because this guy is a serious contender to take down anyone. This includes Flash, this includes Last, this includes Jaedong. I mean, he is a monster of a Protoss.
His games against C were very impressive. He had a very good opener to control C. He made a mistake losing that shuttle, then doubled down on shuttle play, winning really with Storm Harass and Storm Drops along with one or two good recalls. And there you have it. He beat C.
Indeed. Now our last two groups in the round of 16, Group C and Group D. Best Mong, I Am Mong, and Jaehoon on Sunday. And then on Tuesday, 1 week from today, Jaedong. Sock, Last, and Hero.
I think I couldn't say it better myself, Artosis.
That's not me. Whenever I say Jaedong, just like epic music plays.
Epic God of War music comes on.
Yeah.
Look, this was a great match here today. I'm curious to see how many of the other races are going to move on as we make the round of 8, because these groups are very, very tough to call.
Yeah, they really quite are, especially looking at that Group D. That's kind of crazy, right? Like, I'm kind of leaning towards, like, Last and Jaedong, but
yeah,
Hero's a great player. His ZVT might make me a little bit suspect of him.
Last should get out no matter what.
Yeah, I do
His
too.
TVZ is really, really good. I think if somebody can beat him, I default to Jaedong.
Yeah. Yeah.
We'll have to see.
What about Sock?
No, I don't think so. If he does do it, that's great. We'll have to find out. Anyways, that does it for this ASL. And please do not forget, tomorrow at 6:30 KST, we have the GSL Code S as usual. Have a good morning, afternoon, or night, wherever you are.
You can never take our hearts away. You can never silence what we say. You can't hold us down another day. The revolution is getting closer. Stand up, take a side. Now you know the truth can't be denied. I promise you we won't give up the fight. We're rising up until it's over.